This episode of Limit Break Radio is made possible by our generous Patreon donors, including Soren Dunlack of Ultros, Shira Hartslot of Sargentanis, and Cavo Fulmine of Lamia. Thank you so much for your support. If you want to support Limit Break Radio, visit patreon.com/Limit Break Radio. And by Wark Donald's. Visit Wark Donald's for fast, cheap, delicious food on the go, made with 100% authentic and ethnic chocobos. Our Choco Nuggets will make you quee your pants in delight. Our new artisan grilled Choco Chick Panini topped with real Choco Chick down. Wark Donald's. I'm working it.
Live from Eorzea.
Limit Break with your hosts, Aniero.
Now behold the horror you have wrought.
Kahlo.
I said don't take your clothes off.
Juxtaposition.
I don't get it.
Ascalia.
Holy shit, totally forgot about him.
And Mika.
Oh my god.
LimitBreakRadio.com.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Welcome to Limit Break Radio, episode number 92. The episode that almost wasn't. Welcome to the show, guys. Thanks for joining us live here on twitch.tv/Limit Break Radio, as well as live in Eorzea. Let's kick it on over to our Eorzean studio, which of course not showing up. Why is it not showing up? Nothing's working today.
Oh, come on.
There we go. Now it's working. Thanks for joining us live here on twitch.tv/Limit Break Radio, limitbreakradio.com. If you're listening on the podcast, maybe you found us on iTunes. If you did, give us an iTunes review. But check out the site as well. There's a lot of cool stuff happening over there. So, a little bit of a different episode today, guys. As you can tell, so if you live in the general region that we do, the same part of America, you're probably covered in snow right now, like we are, which has impacted pretty much everyone's ability to get to the studio today. So joining me, we've got, of course, Nika, but we've also got Juxta joining us over Skype.
Yeah, it looks like fucking Kurthus out here, man. It's terrible, and it's still coming down.
Yeah, it is, and the thing is I did not want to create a dangerous situation for the host to be able to get here, so I'm literally, for the first time, I mean, this is the first time in a long time that I've been flying solo in the studio. But that doesn't...
You feel lonely?
Well, I'm a little lonely, but it's also like a little freeing. I'm not wearing pants. That's kind of nice.
Boy band bros.
No, that's...
I mean, think about it, though.
Yeah, but I mean, it's nice. I don't have to, like I didn't have to do dishes before everyone came over today. Yeah. I didn't have to like clean up or anything. I just was able to like roll out of bed and kind of like saunter into the studio.
You like life better without them.
No, I'm not saying. I'm just saying like it's a nice change of pace for this week. That's what I'm saying.
Except there's a downside as well, because you had to go get your own tea this morning, and you don't have food delivered to you.
I know, yeah, it's pretty awful. So I had to actually go out and buy my own Cobb salad today, which sucks.
Yeah, Cobb salad, what the fuck?
Well,
salad?
Eating pizza for the last, 2-3 days and hamburgers, I've been working a lot. So I've been having to get a lot of food on the go. Can't eat real well when you've got to be somewhere in 10 minutes. So, yeah.
But still, a salad?
Yeah, I went out and I got myself a salad, so I don't feel like such a piece of shit.
Good choice.
Yeah.
That's a terrible choice. You should get a nice big greasy shit burger.
You should have went to Wark Donald's.
I've been How do you know I
they
didn't
are
get the
our sponsor,
salad
we
from
should at
Mark
least-
Donald's?
We should
Mark,
at least support them.
how do you know that I didn't get the salad from Mark Donald's? Mark Donald's has salads.
I mean, that's true with real chocobo inside the salad.
Yeah, right. Yes, grilled chocobo and Geishel greens. It's fine. It's good. It's a really good salad.
The artisan grilled choco chick panini is only has 130 calories. It is very, very healthy for you.
I'm sure it
It's
is.
made with real choco chicks.
Yeah, but I'm trying to. But okay, fine. Anyway, thanks for joining us for today's episode. I'm just gonna let that go. Forget it.
You had to crack open the egg, the chick comes out, and then you just beat it over the hammer with to kill it.
No, stop.
And then you immediately roast it, so it
God
doesn't
damn
have
it.
like more than 5 minutes of life. That's how you know it's the best.
The more life it has, the more it gets to experience life, the less good it tastes. So you just have to kill it with all of its innocence, or else it doesn't get to optimum flavor.
Exactly.
Oh my god.
Anyway, thanks for joining us today here on Limit Break Radio. We're glad to have you along. Having to actually change the plan for today's episode sort of at the last minute because of the weather. But so here's the other thing is that, I mean, I'm not hearing it a ton right now, but I've been having weird vocal problems all week. And I think, part of it is that I'm talking a lot more just during my days. Like I see people, and so I have to talk to them a lot. I know.
Oh, man,
It's
talking to people,
annoying. I know. It's irritating. But now I'm actually at work at an hour where other people are at work, so it's like, oh no, I got to talk to people. So that's actually been wearing my voice out quite a lot. But this week we recorded another episode of our new show that's in development that is slated for release in February. We get to talk about it in January, so that's super exciting. We've got the logo pinned down for that too. It's all solidified and ready to go. But we recorded another episode of that, so that's really cool. And also on Tuesday, Nika, Kahlo, and I appeared over on State of the Realm. And so that was also a great deal of talking as well. So I've not had a great opportunity to rest my vocal cords. And so if we don't go the full time today, if the show seems a little bit janky today, we got thrown off of our game very late by the weather, and I really do feel like I'm straining my voice a bit. So
Embrace the jankiness.
Yeah, it's going to be what it is, but we've got plenty to talk about. But this is sort of my roundabout way of explaining why we want to encourage your calls specifically today. I want to be able to give my voice a rest. I want to be able to, give Juxta and Nika some things to talk about without actually having to be the one who originates the stuff. So we want to take your calls on anything. We're talking today about an article that was posted over at MMORPG.com saying that healers absolutely need to be using cleric stance and doing DPS, that it is an expected part of their job. We want to know, do you agree with that opinion? But we're also going to be talking about in an interview from Yoshi-P that he did to Game Focus that actually talks a lot about some very, very big, heady ideas about the game industry and MMO's place within that as a genre. Some really interesting statements coming out of that. So we want to encourage you to respond to any of the things that we're talking about here today, as well as any of the things that we've been talking about for the last couple of weeks. Patch 3.5 that's coming up, any of the diadem changes, and what we know about Stormblood. We've been able to suss out quite a bit about the intention behind the direction of the new content, and we haven't heard from that many of you about how you feel that direction is going to be for the long-term health of the game. So we want you to sound off, and you can call the show, Limit Break Radio on Skype, 810-515-8715, limitbreakradio.com/Discord. Now, keep in mind, okay, I'm having to run all of the gear by myself. So, if it's a little slow, if the works are a little bit slower than normal, it's because I'm trying to concentrate on like 9 or 10 different things. So,
yeah, I gotta say, the drops are really lacking today, Aniero. You need to pick up the ball on that.
I will take those.
I just hit a random one. So
I didn't even hear it. It was too soft.
yeah, I know. I needed to crank up that volume. There we go. Anyway, so line up your calls. Limit Break Radio on Skype, 810-515-8715, limitbreakradio.com/Discord. And there is really no FF14 news to talk about today. There's a new duty commence. That's a thing. If you want to find out when that is, I guess hit up the lodestone. But other than that, in the last week, there has literally been...
Except that the last shipment of pre-ordered lore books have gone out, and I got mine finally. That's a thing that happened.
Have you read it?
I read the monk page.
Oh, what?
I'm gonna take some time over winter break and just read it front to back.
Why would you start? That's a weird page to start with.
Because Saren wanted to read the monk page, so that's the one we started with.
Oh, good. It's a collective effort. Just like
it is.
Oh,
we're going to read it on the plane on the way to Michigan for winter.
Oh,
it is.
joy.
We're going to sit together and we're going to read it together. That's what couples do.
Okay, sure. Well, there you go. That's what's going on in FF14 news. But to talk... What?
That's what's going on in 14 news. Nika's reading a book with Senpai.
About 14.
Well, the last set of 14 lore books went out. Hooray. Good for you.
You
yeah, okay, good. Yeah.
And they also shipped. Also, the new Primal CD has been shipped, but that one's not here yet. But I'm excited for that one.
Typical Nika humble bragging. Okay, great.
I love humble bragging. Juxta keeps been talking about how he's had his for months.
Except it's been sitting over at my place for like 3 weeks now.
Yeah, pretty much. Can you play some production so I can talk over it?
No, I'm actually not gonna do any news production because it seems really silly to do that. It seems really superfluous. Like,
you're
why?
Superfluous.
What? Why do you try? You know what? I just realized I can't mute you.
Yeah.
I can't mute you. I mean, I can mute.
It would mute both of us.
Yeah,
right?
I could mute the both of you, but then I have to do more talking. Yeah, that would.
Well, that would be the worst thing in the world, though.
It would be because I would still be able to hear Juxta.
We could just sit in silence. I mean, we can just like sit
here.
We
could do that.
And we can just,
We could let the callers dictate the show.
We can just turn this into a Final Fantasy 15 show instead of Final Fantasy 14, because I could talk about that. That's the only game I've been playing for the last few weeks. So I don't know what this game. What is this 14 game again?
I don't feel like you're alone. I feel like there are a lot of people who, like there's going to be a lot of crossover appeal with FF15 from 14, and a lot of people have been very plugged into FF15.
I've been playing World of Final Fantasy. And
you go fuck yourself.
Completely beats off the pants of 15.
I'll rip your head off and shit down your neck.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's good.
See?
Good job.
I can do that.
That was a really great drop.
I can do this shit.
Idiots doing idiot things because they're idiots.
See? Oh,
wow,
your job is so hard.
We got 2015 drops in here, boys.
I'm pretty sure it's not even on your drop page, but whatever. Sure.
I don't think 90.
There's 91 pages. That's a lot.
No, that's all.
Yeah, that's what I figured. So anyway, so what we're really going to talk about today, because like I said, there's really not much in FF14 news to discuss. But we wanted to talk about this Game Focus interview. Now, this was posted over on Silicon Era, and you can find a link to that. I'm sure Kooky will provide it in the chat room, but you can find a link to that at our website, limitbreakradio.com. So a note before we start into this. It's a series. It's a collection of statements. We don't really get the full Q&A. But keep in mind that the info is a brief summary of the original Korean interview provided and translated into Japanese by Kultur. KOTOR? No, not KOTOR.
Kultur the Unbreakable?
I don't know who that is. Anyway, so it starts off with a series of questions here, which I think piggybacks one of our discussions that we've had on the show, which is the subscription model for MMOs a dying concept? And this one just outright ups the ante, takes it to the next level, and outright just asks, are MMORPGs dead?
Yes, there are none. There are zero. They don't exist.
No, I think, but I mean, do you think that that's a fair question?
Yeah, I think they're probably getting more towards is the MMORPG genre, like, are they basically not good games anymore? Can they survive?
Can you name an MMO that's coming out? Like, I can't name one that's being developed or on the horizon that people are super stoked about. Like
FF15 MMO.
That's so fun.
We know about the FF15 MMO. Let's go with that one. I'm willing to bet Blizzard will develop one, though, because World of Warcraft, while they're still developing, I just feel like it's ready for something new and grand that Blizzard can now accomplish that is much better than like 12 years ago when that game came out or whatever. I feel like Blizzard will release one.
I'm looking forward to when they have like a MMORPG VR and I can literally play Sword Art Online.
Well,
and have a waifu.
I mean, is that really the next? Like, is that the next step?
Like you go into you sleep and then you like play yourself in the game and then.
Yeah, that's what I want.
No, but I mean, like, is that really what's necessary to sort of push the genre forward? Is some sort of hardware technology push, or, you know, because VR, that's going to take a lot. I mean, you think about how large an MMO world is versus the size of a one-player, even a open world game like FF15. I feel like 14 is still a lot bigger.
Oh, it is for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, I think a VR MMO would definitely up the ante on the experience, but I think it would just be very difficult to have an MMO that's anything outside of just smacking things. Like, how hard? I mean, I cannot even imagine trying to dodge mechanics as in VR. It's like I could take my sword and I could tank and spank, but I'm not entirely sure that you would actually be able to do anything fun. And I think it would get, well, it's a cool concept at first. I think it would get very stale very fast. So
the interview sort of puts forward, is the MMORPG genre dead? That, I guess, is a common topic in the West. I did not know that. I didn't know that was a much more common theme or thought that existed over here. But that there aren't that many companies around the world willing to make new MMORPGs, and I think that that's true. I mean, I think that there is that companies, ever since the big MMO boom that happened after the success of World of Warcraft, where every single dev company was like, oh, I can eat into that, and they couldn't. Like, they just, all of them got shattered on World of Warcraft's, 10 million subscribers, and they weren't able to carve out a large enough audience to be able to sustain that. And so we've seen tons of games, of course, go to free to play and adjust their funding models and, go pay to win, all of these other things. And so we've now kind of got the current state of MMORPGs where, in a way, FF14 is kind of like the last in the old guard of like an old school MMO and the way that it's designed. And yet they make a whole lot of modern concessions. They make a whole lot of contemporary concessions that WoW has done, for example. And they take a lot of their cues from WoW. And so it feels like, there is a conscious effort, and especially when I see some of these statements from this interview, that it very much does feel like a conscious effort on the part of, on the part of developers, on the part of Square Enix to kind of try to tread both worlds. And I mean, I think that they do that to their credit very well, but the question still kind of remains, like, how much of a future is left for MMOs with companies now so gun shy about giving money to development projects like that?
Well, and I guess the real question is like are like MMORPGs even like really that fun anymore? Like, yeah, once you have like the basic like formula down, like how are you really going to change it up,
I mean, that's fair. That's fair. MMOs have kind of worked themselves into a mechanic repetition, because we've said that before of FF14. Like, give us some new stuff to do. Don't just give me a point to go to and click on. Which, to be honest, I feel like a lot of quests, even in single player open world games like Final Fantasy 15, that seems to be the bulk of a lot of objectives, is go to the shiny spot and click the shiny spot and make a cutscene engage. And it does feel like a kind of very limited mechanic, but at the same time there are restrictions to what a game like this can do because of server structures, because of game structures, because of audience expectations. Like, how much, I think asking how much can really be done with the genre anymore is a fair question. But we've also seen, at the same time, the rise of these free roaming resource management open world games like Ark and like to a certain extent like Minecraft, but very influenced or inspired by Minecraft. We've seen a lot of those, and it feels like there's going to be a nexus between these two style of gameplays, so that it's not so as boring as Ark and empty as Ark, but at the same time a game is not as grindy and so streamlined as the modern MMOs that we come to know today.
That, and like, well, the thing I was thinking about, like, once you reach like a certain point in a genre, like, you don't really change the formula too much. Like, take fighting games. Like, at the core, like, a Street Fighter 2 and Street Fighter 5 are basically like, not, I mean, don't get me the wrong way, they're not basically the same game, but I mean, it's all about like obviously the big mechanics are roughly the same, where you're hitting, making combos and all that, but obviously they play very differently. So I guess the question is, how can MMOs adapt and like kind of emulate that, in that like they also feel a lot different from old MMOs versus a new one that grabs the attention of you, Well,
I mean, I think that's what we're seeing with something like 14. And I mean, the problem is we're saying, that MMOs need to move in a way that doesn't feel the same as every MMO. But then there are plenty of people that don't like 14 because it's so different and it's not like the old MMOs. So it's really like, I don't think it's more about finding how to keep it new and different. It's more about finding a balance between old and new. Maybe.
I think I really am bummed that EQ Next got canceled, because that was a game that I thought took equal influence from Minecraft, as well as EverQuest, obviously, because it built off of the EverQuest IP. But it had this really unique world design where you could dig at any point, and if you kept going, if you dug deep enough, you might be able to dig into a cave or something. And it just, like, that sort of inventive world building, that open world building, and that, by the way, that hole would stay there for anyone who would want to, it feels like bizarre game design, or like something that you would have to reset every once in a while, like an Etch-a-Sketch or something. But it was a really kind of cool concept, and I thought was something that I'd never seen before in any other MMO. And I think it's going to be a concept like that ends up pushing the genre forward. But a concept like that also takes a lot of development. It also takes a lot of money. And I don't know very many development studios or even, publishing studios that are willing to take that kind of chance, that are willing to roll those dice, because so many MMOs have lost so much money in the course of their operation. All right, let's go to our phone lines. We've got Xanther hanging on the line. Xanther, how's it going? Xanther, you there, man?
Yeah.
Hey, what's up? Hey, thanks for calling Limit Break Radio.
Yeah. So, I'm on?
Yeah, you're on. Hi, what's up? You're on the air.
Sorry. Okay, I'm calling in regards to VR MMORPGs, like Sword Art Online and everything. Actually, like IBM, I read an article about 9 months ago or so that IBM is actually looking into doing this. They did a huge beta test, or like an alpha test in Japan. Had about, I think, 50 to 100 people actually do VR, had these VR like headsets, like Sword Art Online headsets, and people actually like did exactly what you do in a regular MMO, but all their movements were actually fully tracked in real time in the actual game, and they actually can go on quests. Actually do multiple emotes. They don't have to actually do emotes. Like type in something, like if they emoted in real life, that's what happened in the game. And actually, a lot of I've been reading about quite a few companies who actually are experimenting with this with different headsets, like the Oculus or the PlayStation VR, or a specific one. Like IBM is actually making their own, I guess you would say, like Nerve Gear headset, where actually it would fully track everything you're doing, your eyes, your mouth, like everything. And it's actually getting quite exciting, and I think this is actually the next like full evolution of MMOs. Like they were doing, like Final Fantasy XIV, they were actually doing like a test bed for PlayStation VR, which obviously it was like just a test, and they showed it off, and it was cool seeing basically your actual height compared to, like, say, Titan or something. It's Titan standing right in front of you, and yeah.
Right. Well, and I mean, there's two sort of fundamental things that you're balancing there when you're talking about that kind of technology. First is that you've got to balance the cost. It's got to be cost effective. That does not sound cost effective at all. That sounds insane. I mean, it is a push forward in the technology, granted, but it's not, that's 10, 20 years from consumer ready. And in 10, 20 years, like, what's going to happen to MMOs? You know what I mean? Like, as a genre of game, I think that that's an important question, especially for all of us that are currently so tuned into and plugged into and enjoying an MMO. What does the future look like? The other thing that you've got to balance there is the exhaustion factor. If your movements are being tracked on a 1-to-1 ratio, then you're gonna get fucking worn out really easily. Like I'd be good for like 20 minutes of playing that game, and then I'd be like, all right, well, like yesterday, all right? Yesterday, I was so exhausted. I slept for like 16 hours, and I couldn't even be bothered to sit in front of my TV and play FF15. I was that fucking tired. Like, if I've got to, go questing and stuff like that, like, okay, yeah, that is an interesting concept, but it's limited. It's so limited in its scope. And at that point, like, why not? It's sort of like an AR MMO. It would be cool, but long term, I don't think that it's really like the path forward to fix the genre or move the genre forward in like a long term sense.
I don't know if I agree with that, because we already have games that are like force you to move around. I mean, look at Dance Dance Revolution, and basically when you're like invested in a game like that, you work your muscles to the point where you can play that longer. Because like when I first started playing DDR, I would be able to do like two, 3 songs and I'd be done. But then as I played more and more of it, like after like a month or two, I could, do like a whole like 15, 20, 30 songs, or until I was basically done playing for the day. So I feel like that evolution, like people's bodies will adapt to having to like walk around or whatever.
Yeah, so, but you look at the binge sessions that people are on right now. And I mean, like, if you've got to dodge moves and like do strike, I mean, like, dude, that's so much. Good. That's so much movement that you would be responsible for producing, that your body would be responsible for producing. Like, no one would be able to binge MMOs like they currently are. And I think at that point they lose some of their value. I mean, a big component of this is how do we get people's $12, $10, $14, whatever it is, a month? Like, if I can only play your game in 15-minute spurts, then why am I paying monthly for it? That seems insane.
Okay, well, see, then after you're done like moving around and actually fighting stuff, you relax to the tavern, play a nice game of Hearthstone, maybe some Lords of Verminion,
God.
You relax.
You're the worst. Just the literal worst. Thanks, Xanther, for the call. We appreciate it. If you want to call Limit Break Radio on Skype, 810-515-8715, limitbreakradio.com/Discord, the ways that you can call in. So let's take a look at some of these statements from Yoshi-P. Games are usually made after receiving an investment, but since MMORPGs come with high business risks, investors have begun thinking that their invested money would be difficult to recover. And that, I think, we have seen in, again, how gun-shy developers have been to move forward on MMO projects. And it seems like that more and more you'll get a single-player game that has multiplayer components, or you'll get, like a mini MMO, you know what I mean, inside of like a larger game. Multiplayer, and I'm thinking of like Dark Souls, you know what I mean? Like, there's a bigger game, it has its own narrative, but it has a multiplayer component. It has this strong PvP component, and it has these like MMO-ish elements. And I think that game developers look at that as a much more attractive possibility, because you've got a product that you can market separate from a monthly subscription, but players are also kind of satiated in that by having PvP and connectivity and being able to have multiplayer support, online multiplayer support. We see this with FF15 as well, where one of the big DLC expansions is going to add online multiplayer. So we see single players adopting much more many more multiplayer aspects, and specifically online multiplayer aspects. And again, I just think that looks way more attractive than developing an online-only product that you're trying to market at a monthly resubscription cost. Nothing.
But I'm just trying to. Could you even really call Dark Souls an MMORPG?
No,
Dark Souls?
No, absolutely not. No, it's a single player game that has like online multiplayer elements.
Features, yeah.
Yeah. It makes it feel sort of MMO-ish. Especially like the way that modern MMOs are designed, where you have, modern MMOs, like FF14 is a great example. You can play FF14 almost as a single player campaign and only group up with people in dungeons. And you know what I mean? Like, it's so what's the word that I'm looking for?
solo player friendly?
No, it's so
antisocial.
No, it's so fleeting how quickly you end up grouping up with people. You know, it's not like with FF11 where, you know, you would either have to wait an hour and a half for a group, and then when you got a group, you would stay with it sometimes for like 6, 7, 8 hours. That's not what happens in FF14. You queue up, you've got matchmaking. You know, the parties that get formed are just they're very quick. They happen very, very quickly. So I think in that respect, Dark Souls does sort of mirror that, where you have very quick interactions of multiplayer, and then you're back to your own campaign. And so I just think that that's a much more attractive option for developers as opposed to an MMO environment.
Yeah, I guess I can see that, but I don't feel like that would really fulfill the MMO niche that a lot of players are still seeking and still want. But again, I don't. Yeah, I guess it's just hard to say.
So other statements include, this is good. The big gaps in silence are great. This is really professional, guys. Other statements. So MMORPGs nowadays can't be successful unless they're large-scale games. That's also true. Some companies want to make MMORPGs, but they can't afford it. The companies that try making MMORPGs are told by investors to just work on different games instead. And just a kind of a peek behind the curtain where, you know, because investors do drive a lot of this. You know, if you're being told what to work on and where to throw development staff, you know, the developer only has so much control before an investor goes, all right, fuck it, I want my money back. I'm done.
Well, I guess the biggest question is, are MMORPGs really that profitable anymore, considering how much they cost to make, how long of a development cycle they have, and the return is just not what they really should be.
This is going to become a huge catch-22 then, isn't it? Like, everyone's like, well, MMOs are dying and nobody's going to make any new ones, so they're not going to be any more, but everyone's scared to make more because nobody's like, this is like this big endless circle, and if nobody takes that risk, there aren't going to be any more, and then they're all just going to die out.
Yeah, that's really sort of what we're getting at here.
But the thing is, like, so many companies have, quote, taken the risk because they wanted a piece of the World of Warcraft pie, and they've just been complete and utter burnouts to the point where everyone can tell that they're not worth it anymore because people just don't enjoy the gameplay of them, and they stop playing pretty soon after, like a month, maybe 2 months after they reach the end game or whatever.
Yeah, but this is a big part of the problem, though, is that everyone is literally chasing that World of Warcraft tail, and if you're too busy focused on that, it leads to a lack of innovation. And I think that we saw that in that huge wave of MMOs that came out in the last like 10 years and then has now started to taper off into nearly nothing. And that's, I think, exactly what Yoshi-P is talking about. That's exactly what he's talking about right here.
I'm not sure, Juxta, that it's the gameplay that necessarily makes people not want to play. I mean, I think it has a lot to do with the fact that, I mean, let's be real, if World of Warcraft launched today, I don't think it would be nearly as successful as it was from when it originally launched. And I think a lot of that has to do with the current generation of people and the current generation of gamers. And we've talked about, too, in our other episodes on FEC, like when we talked about mobile gaming becoming, you know, a big thing. That's today's lifestyle. Today's lifestyle is fast-paced. It's on the go. It's always like, what's the words I'm looking for? It's like, you know, instant reward, instant now, everything now, something you can do casual, put down. And MMO, instant gratification. Yeah, instant gratification, and it's something you can do casually because everyone's lifestyles are busy on the go all the time right now. And I feel like, so that's why we've seen such an insurgence of mobile games and such a lower number of games that require such a big time investment, because that's the kind of thing that just today's gamers and today's people in general just don't have time for, or just don't have the means to want to care about something as in-depth as something like that.
Yeah, but then we have things. I guess that mirrors the success of Pokemon and Pokemon Go, where you do play it on the go. It's a mobile game, and you just go through the single-player campaign, and then afterwards, if you want to try to make more out of it, you just go through endless hours of grinding to find like the perfect Pokemon breeding and all that other stuff.
Right, and all that is for the people that have the time and or the drive to do so. But if you need something that's just kind of casual for you to do in your daily life, you're probably not going to commit to doing all that grinding. Like I'm thinking now, I saw Calla post the other day that he got 100% on his Alola Pokedex, and I'm like, I don't know if I would ever just want to sit down and grind that. Like to me, that's awesome, but just the gratification doesn't come quicker enough because I would rather play another game or do something else where I'd get more done in a shorter amount of time. And I know like even right now, Surin hasn't been able to play much 15 and he's getting sad because I've been playing it because he has his school, right? And so he plays Pokemon on the Metro because that's something he can do and do quickly and casually, whereas something like 15, even that's a one-player game and he doesn't have time to play. Imagine like another big MMO, people just don't have the time or the drive to invest in that anymore.
Yeah, but I mean, I've seen people refer to Pokemon Go as the Pokemon MMO, which I think is kind of fair.
There's no other people in Pokemon Go. It's not an MMO unless you can interact with other players.
Yeah.
I think that you are interacting with other players. It's called having an actual conversation with a motherfucker that you're.
It's not an MMO because MMO means
it's just a different take on an MMO. I mean, I agree that there should be some basic way to interact with other people that you meet, like trading. I think that that's an important
If trading and battling existed, or if you could even see it on your map, like who around you has the game open, where
that would murder the game. It would murder the frame rate.
If you want to battle people, then how do you do that?
On certain hardware, it would murder the frame rate. I don't know, like probably initiating a battle over the internet like you do on a regular Pokemon cart. That makes sense to me. If you have somebody's username or whatever, or if you're standing close to them, that there's a list of people that you can choose from. That to me seems to be a little bit more reasonable than showing people on the goddamn map. That's a little bit insane.
You can't see other people interacting in the world. It no longer is a role-playing game. It's literally just a map to help find people in the real life.
Well, no, it's not a role-playing game. But
then it's not MMO.
It's an
MMO real life game.
It's a tweaked concept of an MMO. I think that that's I hate to break it to you, but that's the closest we're ever getting to a Pokemon MMO.
There was a fan-made one for a while. I was playing it on Facebook a few years back in college, and it was actually really cool, but they got a C and D, which sucked.
Of course they would.
But the thing is I think a real Pokemon MMO would probably do very well if Pokemon Go's success is saying anything. Because I also feel like a Pokemon Go MMO would be easy enough for children to get into and waste their life away on. So I don't know. But
I think Pokemon Go is good enough as as a Pokemon MMO to, basically say that to make that justification, to say, all right, well, there it is. You don't really need it, because it does encourage in the same way that MMOs used to encourage social interaction with people, where now we get just automatic matchmaking because that's the norm. I think that Pokemon Go, in the same way, forces you out into the world and forces you to interact with people, and I think that that's cool. If there was,
you're right, but that's also like that. But you're right, but that also is the same thing. I was kind of going towards. We're talking about people's lifestyle changes. Pokemon Go corresponds with people who are on the go, literally, like people who are busy, people who are out and about, and you can still take 5 minutes to even sit and battle someone if that was in the game already. Whereas an actual MMORPG just doesn't fit into most people's lifestyles, and so that's why I think games like Pokemon Go are more popular than any MMO that's been coming out recently, because there's just not enough interest. Not so much that the gameplay is even bad. There's just not enough interest in that type of game in today's current lifestyle. So we see more mobile games and less big, blockbuster games in general.
I will concede the point that until you can interact with other people in any way, shape, or form, that it is kind of tougher to say that Pokemon Go is a version of an MMO. But once that's there, I think that yeah, like now you have an actual in-game mechanic or reason built around interacting with other people, and I think that completely supplants things like a chat room. You know, you don't need a chat room because the chat room is supposed to actually be a conversation. It's supposed to be a chat with someone. So, I
talk better when I'm in texting form, so
it is
I can't call in ever.
It's a very hippy dippy take on it, but yeah, I think that you can make that justification. I think that you can definitely say that. Some of the other statements here. We're currently in a state where those who want to make MMORPGs really can't because of this sentiment. Yoshi-P's personal opinion is that MMORPGs aren't dead, but rather they're just taking a break. Now I think that's kind of interesting. He feels that it'll be another 10 to 15 years before they become big again. And I wonder why, like, what do you think happens in that 10, 15 year period where they, you know, where they've lost now favor with the public, but they'll become big again? To me, that says like when there's a big technology shift or, you know, a big graphics push, that'll be the next time that MMOs
or when
come around.
Donald Trump ruins our country and we all need an escape.
No, I don't know about that.
I feel like every kind of lifestyle shift, I feel like every 10 to 15 years, the general feel of the lifestyle of people, for some reason, I just feel, right, you know, everyone right now is always on the go, so they're always playing mobile games. That's why things like Candy Crush, like I have so many, when I got my new phone, inherent games that were built in that are almost identical to Candy Crush or Bejeweled, and they're like just with a different skin over top, and yet there's all these things. They have in-game transactions, they have all this, and people eat it up. And it's so popular because that's today's lifestyle. Give it 10 to 15 years, and I do think that people's lifestyles in one way or another, for better or for worse, will shift. And so that's when we're going to see a different influx of games. And it may not be MMOs, but it might be something totally different that's going to shift because that's just to fit people's lifestyle better.
I think Yoshi is giving MMOs are kind of a big concession, saying they're just taking a break. I think the reason MMOs are, quote, dying is because they haven't found the next big thing yet. Like World of Warcraft's quest structure and XP grind, that was the big thing, and that's what projected MMOs into the popularity that they are right now. So I think as soon as someone figures out the new formula X, the new ingredient X that makes MMOs engaging and fun to play again, I think that's when they'll become big again, because people are just aching for something new and for something exciting, for something to bring them back into the MMO genre.
Well, what do you think that'll end up being?
If I knew what that was, then I would be a millionaire in 5 to 10 years.
No, I mean, like you know, we know where the technology is pushing. We've already talked about the possibility of VR MMOs, and it's not like, you know, when you say that, people automatically jump to Sword Art Online. So it's not like the concept hasn't existed for a while. You know, what really is going to be that thing? Like if you could add an element to an MMO that exists in other games, but for whatever reason can't exist in an MMO, like what is that? Like as I'm playing through FF15, I'm sort of noticing that it borrows a lot of kind of concepts from MMOs or even that FF14 used, where you've got packs of enemies that you're running into. You've got basically items that you procure with a click that exist on the ground. I mean, there's a lot of these things that are just essentially borrowed from online games. And so, you know, what is really going to be the thing that makes that push?
I think
this is a hard question.
For me, I think like this is gonna be like pie in the sky, like technology that's not even there yet. But like, just like super like reality altering MMO to like where you're laying in bed and
like legit Sword Art Online.
Yeah, basically legit Sword Art Online. And I'm not trying to be a weeb or anything, but like just like
we've just confirmed.
Just laying in bed and actually become like the game is now your reality, and that's your mind, like your
mind thinks you're walking around in.
Yeah, exactly, and like. Yeah,
I'm honestly terrified if video games ever actually get to that point, though.
Yeah, that's a little bit running the line like along the Matrix. That I
mean, because even though it's not real, can you imagine though, like dying in the game by a slaughter horde of monsters or falling off of a cliff? Like, even though you're not actually dying, the trauma that can come from that could really fuck some people up.
It could be
pussies.
Like it could be. It could be like the worst nightmare you've ever had. You know what I mean? Like, if you think about it.
Just don't play horror games then.
Does it have to be horror? I mean, just look in Final Fantasy 15, like you go into this dungeon with 20 lightning bombs that all explode at the same time, and I have no chance of survival. In real life, I don't know if I would ever want to play a video game ever again. It's terrifying. Big giant things that crawl out of the ground and slam swords at you. I'm not sure that in real life I could handle that.
Yeah, like homie, just as a basis for comparison, that's like walking along and just having a roadside bomb go off. You know what I mean? Like you, that's, you know what I mean? Like,
some gamers are made of harder stuff than others.
Oh my God.
Maybe, but you still don't realize that if this is, your mind believes that you are in this world.
Well,
like you're actually, like, even though you know, oh, it's not real, like you're acting and walking and moving like this is your reality, it would fuck you up.
Yeah, no, I think that Nika is actually bringing up kind of an important thing that, you know, we haven't really thought about very much is, you know, like there could be real, you know, like gameplay elements that are really easy to execute and to wrap your head around with a controller sitting in front of a TV are going to be a lot more visceral and are going to be a lot more complicated and, you know, like exhausting and possibly traumatizing as they move to VR. You know what I mean? Like,
I can't even imagine like just doing even a story mission and like someone who's like your best friend because they're actually talking to you. Remember, they're not like, even though they're an NPC, they are actually interacting with you during story time. Like, then you see them get slaughtered in front of your face. Like, how many people are going to get out of video games with PTSD?
Okay, well, hold on. Like, the way I envision this neural VR game is you're basically dreaming. So how many dreams have you seen your friend just randomly get impaled by a giant T-Rex scorpion that walks around and starts stomping on McDonald's everywhere?
That's the thing, though, is that there are some dreams like that, but the thing is when you wake up, you don't remember them all vividly like they were real. And if your mind is in such a form of like just thought process that this is reality, it's going, and you're going to remember all of it. None of it's a fleeting memory or a dream. Like, it's like playing a one-player game. You remember everything you just saw. Everything in front of you is going to feel real. It's very different, even though obviously like there aren't real big giant crabs in real life. But when you're playing a game where that thing is in front of you and it's actually hitting you and you can feel it, I think you would be singing a different tune here.
Do you think that it's going to lead to a different relationship with violence moving forward in interactive mediums? Because that, to me, seems like, you know, it's a really, really core part of what makes a video game is the combat. That's it's like when you evaluate a video game, you're usually evaluating it on graphics, sound, combat. You know what I mean? Like, it's one of the core pillars of game design. And I don't want to argue with people about, like, you know, things like Gone Home or Dear Esther, whether or not they qualify as a video game. I think that argument is valid, and I think that that's an important thing to ask. But and the other thing to note is that those games were designed with the purposeful subversion of the idea that you need to have combat or you need to have a weapon to be able to have an engaging video game or an engaging interactive story. I don't know whether or not that's true, but what I do know is true is that combat is represented in like 98% of video games. So, do you guys think that the relationship with violence is going to change moving forward?
I'm sure.
I guess it depends on how the combat would work. Like, would you just think in your mind, oh, I'm going to attack, and then your body would just know the motions? Or would you actually have to train yourself to know how to fight with the sword?
I think you should have to know how to train yourself. Like you can think of how easy it is in your mind of how to do some kung fu move, but in real life obviously it's a lot harder to actually pull off that move. But if your mind thinks it knows how to do the move, then your mind should be able to picture yourself doing the move in the game.
And then your body should just be able to do it in the game.
Yeah. I mean, obviously you won't have to physically do the move, because in my dream neural world, you would just be dreaming that you're doing the move, because in my dreams I can jump over buildings and stuff. So.
This is the Matrix, goddammit. Stop ripping off the Wachowski brothers.
But I mean, I think that would also make a big difference, though. If I could just think, the mechanic of this game is that I can pull out a shield and do this flashy move, so I'm just going to do it, and then your character just does it because you can think about it. And I think if that's the case, I do think it would still change a little bit of relationship with violence, but not as much, because that's still just as easy as thinking about which combo you want to do and executing the buttons, just a little bit more in person. But if you actually have to train and train your character to actually know how to physically do all the moves, we're going to have a million trained assassins running the streets, and I think that that's going to change our view on violence a lot.
Well, and I don't think that's again, and I don't think that that's an invalid question where, because we already say that in a lot of cases, the skills that people develop in a real life sense can translate. Ooh, right? I didn't hear. I
don't hear the voices.
I don't hear the voice.
Either.
I think Iscalia forgot to turn the voices back on after his stream, because he said he was going to turn them off, and I told him turn them the fuck back on.
Yeah, well, it did say that if there was a VR system for 14, imagine how much more in-depth and how much more heartfelt it would have been for Harshafon's death.
Fair enough. I still would have just gone to snap. That's it. I don't think...
But it depends, because if you had actually... sat with Harshafon and drank hot chocolate and became his friend as a character, and then you saw him murdered in front of you. Murdered in front of you.
Yeah.
In reality, you could actually see his body and his blood splatters onto you, and he falls down and you feel the thud in the snow at your feet. I think it would be very different than going, meh. I wouldn't. How would you be able to just stand there and say meh? I don't think you could. His blood is splattered all over your actual body in the VR
Have you fucking met me?
But I've never met you in a virtual world where you are the.
Let me tell you something. I'm even worse. I don't give a shit. I
know you might be, maybe.
The thing is I really don't. It's hard for, and I readily admit this. It's difficult for me to really form an emotional attachment to any character, regardless of whether it's a video game character. God damn it! I don't have the voices turned back on.
God damn it, Scott, you've done fucked up.
I'm trying to do this and make a point at the same time, but no. God damn it.
Okay, so what... You say you don't have any emotional attachment to them, but what if your Kabutops was in VR and you could pet him and feel how sharp his blades are? You don't think you have any...
And then Team Rocket comes and kidnaps him and kills him.
Fuck. I don't know. Don't give a shit.
You wouldn't be heartbroken.
No.
You're Captain Kabutops, though.
That's fine.
Bullshit.
Little Kabu. Kabu, no. Kabi.
I don't know, or if you meet someone in a virtual world, there was some of this in Sword Art Online too, I think. You meet someone who's your friend, like we do now. We meet them, and how a lot of times we all had friends on 11 who just kind of stopped playing and we lost contact with them, and it feels really sad that we have no idea where they live, who they are, or how to find them. That we've lost all contact with them. But imagine actually being with that person all the time, they're right next to you, and then one day they just disappear and never come back. That's just as bad as death. I don't know. I feel like I could never play a game this immersive, because I would probably, my heart would break every single day, and I would have extreme trauma, and I would never be able to go back to the real world as a functioning human.
Okay, but that's what I'm sure people thought when Pong was coming out, and people were talking about what if you could actually have a character and he was actually fighting this giant dragon and it actually looked real and stuff. I mean, I feel like we're if we were transporting directly into neuro dream world Matrix 18 years in the future after it's like a thing, like we're gonna be easing into it. First we're gonna have like the shitty Pong games in Neural World, and then slowly ease into the GTAs and all this other stuff. Like,
but like, I mean, I see what you're saying, that the gradual, if it came right now, it would obviously be a much bigger shock. However, knowing myself and how emotional I am in general and how invested I get in stories that I read and stories that I play, like, I already am a hot mess anytime a character dies in a game. Like, I bawl my eyes out. I just can't even imagine, like, seeing it in front of my eyes and being powerless to stop it because it's part of the story. Like, I'd be like, no, let me run in a cast cure. Let me use raise. And they're like, nope, sorry, part of the story. And I would feel so helpless and crushed because it's actually my physical self. I can tell you, just knowing myself and the amount of emotions that I feel on a day-to-day basis, I could never do it.
Nika, just picture yourself. You can feel just the cold breeze blowing. You slowly put your hand on the gun's holster. You slowly bring up the gun. You can see your hand, and you reach for your finger on the trigger as you have to kill each one of your squad.
Oh my God! Stop!
Physically.
Oh my God! If
And
I had
feel,
to, okay,
you can
if
feel
I
the
had to
recoil.
play,
You can
if I had
smell
to play
the smoke.
MGS5 in real life virtual reality neuroscience version, I think I would probably kill myself. I do not think that I would have been able to escape.
Would you kill your actual self, or would you kill your digital self?
I think what would happen is I would kill my digital self, wake up in the real world, and be a potato, or a vegetable. I do not think
Be a potato. No. Potato was right. You had it right. You would. No,
people who are potatoes also are potatoes because they're lazy. I'm not talking about
potato.
because I'm lazy. I'm talking about, like, I would not be able to emotionally.
No, you'd be making
anymore.
a choice.
Because they're
I'm
a
just
vegetable
saying.
that is very, very inappropriate, Nika.
Okay. But I mean, I can just tell you that if there was a game that traumatizing and I had to actually pull the trigger and it felt real, I mean, yeah, I don't think I could function anymore as a human being. Because I would never do that in real life, but a game would be forcing me to do it in what felt like real life. No.
Because you just shot a bunch of ones and zeros. It's not real, Nika.
But it would feel real. I was already a mess playing MGS5, and I was on a mouse and keyboard. I was falling out of my chair sobbing intensely, and Søren had to hug me and pull me back into my chair because I couldn't function. It was already that bad. I can't even believe you brought this up. I'm like shaking thinking about this.
Maybe neural video games aren't for you, Nika.
No, they're not. They're absolutely not. And I would never, like, I don't think I could do it. I could do, like, neuro versions of sports games. I could go into a game and play. I could play Wii tennis, but in real tennis. So I can play real tennis, but I could play real tennis in real life. So then I don't, it's stupid. It's pointless. No way. Don't need it. No.
I think I would be interested in seeing that. I would watch that. I'd pay.
Would you play MGS5 where you had to shoot all your own people?
Fuck yes. Totally. Are you kidding me?
It wouldn't be traumatizing for you at all?
No. Why would it be?
Because it's not real. It's just ones
It was
and zeros.
traumatizing even though I was sitting at my computer desk. I'm still traumatized from that part.
What if it was like an MMO MGS, but instead of just like random NPCs, you're actually shooting your LS mates that helped you get through binding coil?
See, like the thing, dude, I can't suspend my disbelief like that.
Oh, see, I can.
I totally can't. Like people who get that caught up in movies or TV shows, I don't get it. Because like the thing that I end up connecting on, or the thing that I end up appreciating, is the intent of the creator. I'm like, wow, that was beautifully executed. And that's the thing that touches me. And that might be the fact that, I interact with media a lot differently than most people. I since I help make it, I have a tendency to break it down and have a very analytical view of it. But that's part of the problem where, like, when I talk about the immersiveness of something, like, it's very difficult for me to get so immersed that I forget myself. And that doesn't happen often, but it does happen. Like, it does happen, but not like on the level that you're talking about, Nika. Like, that is on a way different scale from I don't think I've ever experienced anything like that. I've never experienced anything that was close to a trauma digitally.
I mean, I was like, I can't even tell you how the amount of sobbing and like the face, like I remember like how my mouth was just hurting because it was twisted into sobby expressions that I've never made before in my life. Like I can still remember that. I mean, it was bad. Mm-hmm. It was horrible. And I mean, I get very invested in everything. I mean, we did mention MGS2 on our other show the other day and how, people were so off-put by the switch to Raiden. And at first I was too, because I get so into the games. I'm like, no, I am Snake. I am Snake. I did all of that stuff Snake did. I am not Raiden. I am Snake. So at first, it took me a really long time actually to finally get to a point in MGS2 where I felt like, okay, I am Raiden. It took me a long time to get to that point. So, I mean, I'm that kind of person who gets, like, every book that I read, every game that I play, I become that character. I'm not someone who's observing the characters. I am the character.
Yeah, I feel like that part of my imagination died with my inner child long ago.
Oh, I feel bad.
Long ago. I don't know.
But what if we could actually pet our Pokemon and feel their soft fur and Charmander's little heating breath?
Why?
That would be so
great. Are you shitting me?
Okay, you would never be able to hold a Charmander. It would catch you on fire.
What? What are you talking about?
Its tail would catch you on fire.
Oh my God!
Charmander is able to control his flame.
Let's go to our phone lines. Hanging on the line, we've got Lila Liore of Sargentanis. What's up, Lila?
Hey, what's going on?
Thanks for calling the show.
No problem. I just had a quick point to make about the idea of being traumatized by either VR or the whole dive MMO concept, like Sword Art Online kind of thing. Nika.
Yes. What?
I can believe that's how you feel. Like you would be far too traumatized to do things in those kind of games that you do in games like this. But you also have to realize that while it may be immersive, just like Aniero said, it's difficult to take it from someone who actually has a VR headset. As deeply immersed into it as I get, I've never actually felt like I was to the point where it's like, oh, I'm actually here. It feels like I'm here, but I'm not actually there.
But I feel like that with games I play now. I feel like, and I don't know if that has to do in part with ADHD and how people with ADHD can hyperfocus to a point where you can't hear people calling your name. And so I get like that with a lot of games that I play.
That's just selective hearing.
No, it is not. It is absolutely not. People with ADHD absolutely hyperfocus. And so that's a thing too, that when I'm already in a state where I believe I am this character and I'm so focused on this game that like it's so hard for me to be able to like pull myself out and see it as knowing, I don't know. Like to me,
I don't know.
If my brain thought that I was inside the game.
I feel like using ADHD is a bit of a crutch. You're leaning on that crutch. I have ADHD as well. I was medicated with Ritalin as a child. I'm medicated with Adderall as an adult. I'm pretty well diagnosed with ADHD, and like I said, it's been a long time since I've been absorbed into a game like that. I can get absorbed into work like that, where I'm not paying attention, or I'm not.
Yeah. I'm not talking about it being. That's obviously part of your imagination.
But it's not part of my
disbelief. That's different than ADHD. Suspensive disbelief. Like you said, that if you can get absorbed in anything, that's called a hyperfocus. I'm not talking about specifically video games. Yeah.
Nika, I have ADHD too, so I know what that feels like.
It's really ironic because, guys, I have ADHD too, and I was diagnosed by Dr. Physician, and it's a real thing, and I have dyslexia, and I am also.
I can't. No, I can't.
I know.
Anyway, that was just one example of how like already I can get so much into a point of a game where I don't even realize that a real life exists, and that's how. And
well, but that's not an ADHD thing. That's a you thing.
And see, this is getting to my other point about it. It's like you can feel very immersed in it, but at the same time, even if it might be traumatizing to a specific amount of people in the very beginning, the technology would probably still continue going forward because there is such a thing as exposure therapy. They use it for military veterans who have PTSD. They actually use VR for exposure therapy to help treat it.
Yeah, no, and I think that's a good point too. That for as much as we can see it as traumatizing, it can also be cathartic as well. But there's, I think that there's a lot of aspects to the idea of, because there's sort of like a third side to that too, of like when you do interact with violence in a VR setting, how much of that desensitizes you and how much of that trains you. And I think that those are two very important questions, especially when you look at how key video games and VR has been in military and military recruitment. It's an important question to ask and to put out there is, is this technology that is just going to serve entertainment purposes, or does it also serve as some kind of desensitization and training? And I mean, I know. Look, I know I sound like a congressman here, but
yeah, exactly right.
But it is. I think it's a totally valid question to end up asking. Yeah.
Well, think about all of the other innovations that we've made in games that were, at first seeming so immersive, but over time you become desensitized to it.
Exactly. Yeah.
VR is going to be no different. It'll start off being, we're still in this honeymoon stage with it, where VR is just like, oh my God, it's so amazing. And I've had my Rift for 6 months now, and even still sometimes I particularly get motion sickness a little bit, especially when playing like Eve Valkyrie, but it's died down to the point where it's like, okay, I'm not feeling sick. Like I'm 30 minutes into it. I can usually keep it up for an hour and a half, but over time, people get used to these kinds of things. It's not going to seem as real.
Totally. Well, just like how people get used to simulated violence, and how that can desensitize you to real violence. And I mean, shit, real violence desensitizes you to real violence. The fact that you can pull up, I don't know how many videos of people being beheaded or being run over in the street, or just like fucked up shit is all over the place, and we're exposed to it a lot more. There used to be this, before the internet, you used to have to know a guy who had that kind of shit on VHS. You know what I mean? Like, that had to be a thing.
There's still a difference between, like, I can watch a video of someone being beheaded and it's not that big of a deal. But if I saw somebody right in front of me getting beheaded in real life, it would still be a big deal. Then let alone if you're in a game where it feels like real life and it's supposed to be your very best friend getting beheaded right in front of you. That would be even worse.
Yeah, so I don't know, dude. I can't watch beheading videos. That shit makes my stomach turn. I mean, that's really brutal.
You can't watch actual beheading videos, but if you're playing something like Fallout 4, you have no problem watching someone's head explode.
Exactly. Yeah. And there is a certain level of desensitization that exists there. I mean, shit. I still own Faces of Death on DVD. Like, I've been watching fucked up shit for a long time, right? And there used to be a time where people would react to that shit. Like, you would put it on and people would be like, oh my God, I think I'm going to vomit. And now you put that shit on and they're like, oh, come on. I saw worse shit before I ate breakfast this morning, motherfucker. Like, you can't shock me. Like, there is this very real desensitization that is happening across all spectrums of culture. And so are increasingly violent games and media a reflection of just a more exposed culture, or you don't really know. Like, it's sort of the serpent that ends up feeding itself. It's kind of fucked up when you end up thinking about it.
I mean, when people go for shock value and things like that, it has to get increasingly more weird and out there in order to give the shock value, because people have seen it all already. So in order to have that experience, it has to get bigger and bigger every time. So,
it's the exact same thing with shock comedy, too. Like, there was 10 years ago, you couldn't go into a comedy club and say cunt on stage as a performer. You couldn't.
Aniero,
you couldn't.
Stop. You can't say that word.
The fucking club owner would come in and shut you down and take you off stage. And it took, Jim Jeffries from Australia to come over and really make it funny, and by way of humor and kind of shock value, navigate that. Now it's a pretty well accepted part of comedy that, like, oh yeah, you can say that's not a big deal. It's the same sort of thing. Like, how do you shock people in 2016? I don't fucking know. I don't know.
You be nice to them.
Here's a good example. I clipped out the video of Kahlo kicking Juxta in the nuts last year. And you think about it, it's like the first time you watch that, it's just like, holy shit, that's fucking funny. And then after the 100th time viewing it, it's just like, eh.
This is really hard to masturbate to.
100 times.
Yeah.
I told you to jack off to it. That's why. Lila, thanks for the call. We appreciate it. And an important point that VR wouldn't necessarily just be traumatizing, that it has the potential to also be cathartic as well.
Yeah, but that desensitized is not necessarily even a good thing either.
I mean,
well, it also can be used as like an outlet. I mean, we don't have really statistics for this, but think about how many people who are just fucked up in the head, but because they can go around shooting people in GTA 5, that they don't go around shooting people in RL.
That is a good point, and I know there's a lot of people also that say, like, when the porn industry became more easily available, less rapes happened and that kind of thing. But I can't even imagine how this would play out in that aspect. Like, oh, I'm going to go rape someone in the game so that I don't rape them in real life, but then it's equally traumatizing to the person on the other end. So where's the legal lines there?
Well, obviously you only rape NPCs, Nika, duh.
But there will be people who don't do that. Like, that would bring a whole different legal aspect into video gaming that I'm not even sure that this world is ever going to be ready for.
Anyway, to go back to this Game Focus interview.
Oh yeah.
To kind of turn back to
VR,
yeah,
right?
I know, right? Yoshida is turning 44 years old next year, but he feels he won't be able to make high tempo action games when he hits around 60. That said, an MMORPG that you can relax and enjoy would be perfect. He's going to make.
What MMO would that be? Like Second Life? Final Fantasy 11?
Hello Kitty Island Adventure. Yoshi-P. What?
I was just going to say, like, what kind of MMORPG would be a game you could relax and enjoy in?
Yeah, because even a slow-paced MMO, there's going to be something that frustrates you and makes you want to throw down your controller. Like, I can't beat this boss. Rah!
Would it be like turn-based? Like Pokemon MMO, or going back around to that?
I don't know. I honestly don't know. I don't know what a slower paced MMO would sound like. Would look like.
I don't know.
Yoshi-P says that playing video games is more common with his generation than previous generations. He believes that when he gets old, we'll be in an era where playing games will become a completely normal thing. I think that
it isn't already.
It's not, but it is much, much, much more so than it was even 5 years ago.
I think baby boomers are sort of like that last generation that sort of looks at video games as a super big novelty, that doesn't really understand the cultural significance of it. And I would even say that there's a lot of Gen Xers that I've met that's sort of like they're I don't know, I guess maybe their vision is colored by thinking that was something that they were into as a kid. Like the younger Gen Xers and moving into the millennials that are now starting to age into their 30s, I think that's where you're seeing it become very, very common that games are just going to be a part of their entire lives. I think that's where you see higher engagement in games in general among, the different generations. But at the same time, we're also a generation that has to balance that against responsibilities of adulthood, where we don't have the same ability to devote the time and attention to gaming that we would like to. And, I do think that people are having to make the conscious choice between, do I want to spend my night passively watching TV, or do I want to spend it actively engaging in a game? And a lot of times the game ends up winning out. and Netflix, the fact that things like Netflix end up helping support those decisions because you can time shift all the things that you want to watch. You don't have to, you don't have to schedule your media consumption. Media consumption.
Your life around the 8 o'clock p.m. Show that comes on once a week.
Exactly. Right.
Well, I mean, that started with the invention of the VCR. You could record shows.
Oh, come on.
What, for real? We used to record everything on VCR, and we would just watch it later. Obviously, it's much better technology now, but technology is inevitably moving into that direction. So, I don't know.
I think that, there wasn't a ton of people who would do that. Of course there would, there were people that would. I did. I went out of my way to learn how to program a VCR, but my parents never did. That was never part of their habit. There was never anything that they were that dedicated to that they couldn't miss an episode of.
My mom had her soap opera, so she had to record all those. She had 3 or 4 that she would watch every single day.
Yeah, no, my parents never had anything like that. It was mostly me. I got really enthusiastic about stuff, and of course, everything that I liked was on after 2 o'clock in the morning. So I had to learn how to program a VCR. And you're right, it did start there. The habit started there, and the thing is I think that it was way more common among folks our age. We would be recording Adult Swim or
I would get grounded from a TV show and I would record it and watch it later anyway.
Yeah, or the weird anime movies that would be on Sci-Fi Channel. I think I still have VCR tapes of those. But again, that whole concept of time shifting was something that became really common with us. And then of course you had your TiVos and DVRs, and now it's just become stupid easy. You've got Hulu subscriptions or Amazon Plus and Netflix and just all of these various ways to watch the content that you want to. So, the fact that you don't have to plan your night around, I got to watch this at 8, so I've got to stop playing, watch the show, and then go back. You can just time shift everything.
Though, it's at a point now where if a TV show does not offer at least one way to watch it on the internet, then it's not even worth watching because inevitably you're going to miss something.
Yeah, I'm right there with you.
I get mad at TV shows that don't put their stuff up online, and I'm like, why? Or they'll put it on an exclusive website and they won't do it till weeks later, and I'm like, this is dumb.
Yeah, I agree, and a lot of times that's sometimes what detracts something from being a hit too. Mm-hmm. So, I think Yoshi-P is very observant in that idea that, look, this is going to be a thing that people just work into a part of their regular lives. And, that is, I think, 100% true. I think the data sort of speaks for itself. Let's move on to this next part. Nika, my voice is kind of wearing out a little bit. How about you talk about Final Fantasy XIV, the MMORPG for beginners?
I am trying to find where that is. I'm right on that spot, but I don't actually see it.
Here,
there it is. Found it. Okay.
Oh, my goodness.
Yes. The MMORPG for beginners. See, I can't talk today either. All right, so is this also a statement from Yoshi-P? He says that if we don't actually get a new generation of MMORPGs, that he does believe that the genre itself would come to an end. So does he believe then in that case that the people who are playing now cannot sustain the genre for very much longer?
Well, I think he does look at himself as and maybe he doesn't see himself like this, but I think given that statement, now I see him a little bit more as the gatekeeper of old school MMORPG tactics and ethics. He run to give him a ton of credit, because I think he does deserve a lot of credit. The people who are critical of the fact that he's really only done the same thing for now 2 expansions, I understand those people, but to give him a lot of credit, he is running pretty much the second most successful MMO and charging monthly for it and getting away with it and still running a successful product. I mean, that deserves a lot of credit in and of itself. And it's a game that gets very little press. Like, it gets like not a ton of people talk about it. It gets
Playboy articles.
Yeah, that's true. But it you know, you don't hear other than that MMORPG.com article that blew up. When do you hear about this game on Kotaku? How often do you hear?
Not anymore. Only when the expansion launched, right? I haven't heard from it since then.
I haven't heard much from it since then. Yeah, I mean, but how often do you hear people do think pieces on WoW? It happens all the time. I run into it all the fucking time. So, you don't get the same promo push. You don't get the same sentiment that WoW gets over here in the States. And I think that's also kind of something that works to their disadvantage. But anyway, continue.
Yeah, that's possible. And, going towards that whole aspect, we did talk about how FF14 is a lot aimed towards the casual gamers, and he addresses that. We're saying that first off, in South Korea, that we all know that those free-to-play MMOs all come from South Korea, and over there they have plenty of games that let you create a character at the start of the game and then begin using all the flashy skills right off the start. However, some of those games have a bit of a hurdle for casual gamers, and that comes from a social games background. And I mean, that's probably one of the big criticisms that I have from a lot of those free-to-play games is that, you get access to the bulk of your cool abilities right off the bat, and the leveling process just feels like a really boring, why bother? Right, but going back to that instant gratification thing, how many people say that the first, getting to 50 in FF14 is so horribly slow and boring, and you wish you could just get to 50 so much faster so you could use the flashy stuff faster?
I mean, is it really that bad?
I mean, they actually address on here that the developers understand 14's first half isn't that fun, but something they wonder about is whether it would be a good idea to introduce complicated skills and systems to new players right at the start. And so they think about that because FF14 does have a lot of strong characteristics, but it also is important for them to make a game that puts consideration for casual players, which a lot of the free-to-play Korean MMOs don't do.
I mean, I do think that the proposed UI redesign is probably part of that. There's probably a component of the UI redesign that's supposed to make the early levels a little bit more fun. But, I mean, we keep hearing about this jump potion bullshit. I understand. Look, dude, I mean, are the opening levels really that unfun? Guys, really? Is it really that bad? Or is that just what you expect with an MMO? To me, that's what I expect out of an MMO when I'm first starting it, is
And I don't think it's that bad now either, that you can level up pretty much solely with main story quests. And there's so much story in 14, not only for people who care about the story, but just that there's so many to get experience points from that I really don't think the grind is as bad as it used to be either. So in that aspect, it's really, how can you say it's not fun? Because you're playing a one-player game full of story. And then once you reach the end of the story,
exactly.
You get to go out into the world of an MMO.
You're being engaged by the story at almost every single point on that journey. I mean, look, I see you chat room that you're like, oh yeah, it's bad. It's really bad until you get to 2.5. It's because you motherfuckers know the story. You're going back through it again, and you're like, I know all of this. Why do I have to bake a cake? And granted, okay, that part of the narrative is not that terribly strong, but your first time through it, it is a journey. It's, you know what I mean? I don't think it's that unreasonable to say, hey, this is a part of the rite of passage of wanting to play this MMO. I don't think it's that bad. You get XP from nearly every story mission that you're getting, and I mean it's an almost nearly guided experience from 1 to 50. And then 50 to 60 it slows down. I get it. But I mean, I don't think it's that bad.
It doesn't slow down that much though, because there's so many side quests. I don't know. I feel like your very first job is never going to take that long. And I think because of the journey, because of the side quest, because of the main storyline, even though it takes a long time, it's not unfun because the story is fun. But then I know we had this discussion on another show where I was calling people out for like, why wouldn't you want to pay attention to the story in a Final Fantasy game? Because that's what Final Fantasy is known for. And there are those people who just play MMOs for the social aspect and don't give two shits about the story. And so for those people, if you skip every cutscene, I guess the first 50 levels could seem extremely horrible. But if you're every couple levels, you get to now see a new part of the story, I could see that being super fun.
I think that those people who, honestly, if you're not, I hate to be this guy, but like, dude, if you're fast forwarding through all you're getting the same amount of fucking XP out of it anyway. You're just being guided along. So what? You have to fucking hit escape? Like, I get it. It's a bunch of fetch quests that take you from 1 to fucking 50, but like, really, you really want to taint the fucking well? You want to poison the well by saying, hey, let's put a jump potion out there? Because you know that there are more than a few people. There's going to be a ton of people that, given that option, are going to take it when you know full well that they would have benefited learning the skills that you learn from that journey from 1 to 50. They would have been a better player at the end of that journey from 1 to 50, and they may have found value in the story. Like, if you don't want the fucking story, then fuck off to another game where the story doesn't matter. Like at some point, someone needs to stick by the decisions that they make and say, either play this game for the story, or it's just a big bum rush to 60, or end cap, or end game, so that you can just do all the shit. Like, if that's the case, I don't know that that's the fucking game that I want to fucking play. To me, that is a huge, like, that's just like a huge fuck you to the community and the player base that has spent time with your game already. Like, fuck it, we'll just let all of these pleb motherfuckers, insta 50 or insta 60. That doesn't sit right with me. And this is a bad justification for it.
Yes. All right. So back to the interview. They continued on to say then that that it is often said that FF14 has a lot of female players, but they never made it with the intention of adding more female players. I want to know why this is relevant. Like, we don't intend on focusing at all on female players, but if they just happen to play our game, cool.
Well, I mean, I read this as, yeah, there's a lot of people who play that are female, but we're not specifically going to target female players.
Yeah, I guess maybe the question was
the game.
Like, maybe the question was like, did you intend for a lot of female players to play? Like, what were you thinking when creating it? And I mean, I'm hoping that it wasn't that we were like specifically targeting male players, but it's more like we were just making the game that we thought was great, and it just happened that it took off with female players.
Well, I mean, when you talk about target marketing in video games, when you talk about trying to get a female audience, you're talking about a very specific set of branding choices that goes along with that, and you need look no further than any quote-unquote girl game that exists out there. Any of your, Barbie adventures. That's one that Barbie has been a fucking game for almost as long as there have been video games. Like, that's a series that is,
oh my gosh, yeah,
right? Like, it's been around for forever, but nobody thinks about it because it's like, oh, it's all pink and it's for girls. Nobody really
create Barbie clothes on my computer and print them off with a cloth fabric and put them on my Barbie dolls.
And okay, and so it was
a game. It was an actual Barbie fashion game.
Yeah, it's a game. And that qualifies as a fucking video game.
I mean, it really was. There was actually like a process where you'd go through and like creating Barbie's outfit, and then she'd get to do a fashion show at the end. And if you liked it, you could print it out. Like, it was this whole game. It was really cool, actually.
Yeah, but it comes, it also comes marketed with a lot of very specific gender identifiers.
Yes,
like, and the fact is that FF14 doesn't have any of that, and I think that's really all that I think you can extrapolate from that statement fairly, without really jumping to some extreme conclusions.
Yeah,
there.
I mean, they also say that 14 doesn't have many things that would leave a sour taste for female players. So like, oh, there's no sexism and misogyny, so good thing, so we can have our female players, guys. Like, I mean, what's going to leave a sour taste to female players? Like, there's a lot of games that people thought would be boy games, and girls actually like them. So for a game to leave a sour taste to female players, I think it would have to be pretty bad.
That's definitely why they removed the Sultana rape scene. I'm 100% sure of that.
Okay, that is possible.
I don't know. I feel like a lot of female players would like to see that scene. So,
I don't know about that.
Mika, can you comment on that?
Yeah, I'm not even sure a lot of male players would want to see that, but you know.
I think if you made it just like brutally uncomfortable, sort of like that Irreversible movie, that would be. I mean, you'd be making a statement. That's for damn sure.
Yeah, but interestingly enough, Yoshi-P, who once used to be a really hardcore gamer, never has cared for equipment that shows too much skin.
Yeah.
Really?
And for Final Fantasy XIV's credit, like you look at a different game, like I don't know, is it Terra? I think where like the female armor.
Every other MMO other than this one.
Basically anything else, and like everything is like bikinis that have like 2 square inches of cloth covering the nipples, and then maybe like 4 inches of cloth covering the vagina, and then that's it. And then it's like that's your armor, and then males have like plate armor for the same set.
Yeah, you're right. There are a lot of sexy things in 14, but a lot of the actual armor is not too different between male and female equivalent. There are little differences, but not as much as those other games where like there was that one meme going around for the longest time that's like level 1 armor is like almost fully covered, and it's like level 30 armor a little bit less, and level 99 is like barely any clothes. Like
that's how you get stronger.
Clearly. But he also mentions that because people have this online image, or this image that online games are dominated by male players, that they think that adding sexy female characters and sexy equipment also makes it a popular game.
And I gotta say, I'm totally supportive of this decision. I think that it, like, the armor design for the most part is remarkably tasteful, and you're right, like it is pretty ubiquitous among both genders. If something is revealing for female characters, it's generally kind of pretty revealing for male characters as well. Like and I think that that's fair. Like you can, especially with the glamour system, you can build whatever you see your character's image as. And I think that was a smart core design of FF14. But at the same,
I wonder though. Like, I'm going to bring the next point into this one, too, because he says that he believes that this is something makers assume on their own, and believes that if female gamers see some of those equipment, some of them might think, what the heck is this? But if that is their thought process, can they really say that they didn't think about female players at all when they made the game? Like, they didn't stop and think, oh, if we add really stupid equipment, female players are going to see it and be turned off by it. Like, to me, it sounds like they actually did consider it after they just said they didn't.
To me, it seems like a very brief consideration of just like, who the fuck do we really think we are if we want to, add equipment that is just simply G strings and a fucking, the floss bikini, like it you know what I mean? Like that's so uninspired and boring from a game design perspective, that, and from an aesthetic perspective as well, that it feels like it was never even a consideration to go that route. That's what it feels like he's saying, I
guess.
Yeah, like even like among females, like some of them want to wear that super skimpy bikini outfit because that's what they want to wear. So it's like they were trying to cater to like everyone who wants to have, like, they want to have a broad selection of armor and glamour in the game. So you have your bikinis, and you also have tank plate mail that covers everyone, even on females. So I think that's what they're trying to get at.
Yeah, it's more like I totally understand the frustration of players who, when a male character equips one set, it's like full tank plate gear, and then immediately when a female character equips it, it's like it's got some plate across maybe the stomach or parts of the breasts, or like maybe the shoulder pauldrons are intact, but for the rest of it, it's just like skin, boobs. Here it is. Here are the most important parts of my body for you to stab. That seems to me to be really, like it was a very easily criticized part of games for a long time, and it was just like, we got to put a stop to this shit because it's dumb, because it's just outwardly stupid and pandery, and like, let's not for girls, let's stop it, but just for good game design, let's fucking knock that shit off.
And speaking of good game design, gender restricting glamour, terrible idea. Just let the males wear bunny outfits, for God's sake.
They said they were going to do that, didn't they?
Yeah, it's coming.
Well, it's coming, but I'm not coming yet, so where is it?
Ugh.
Thor says maybe if the males have a groin bulge option on the character edit screen, it would balance things out. And I totally agree. We talked about this, I think, in another show, too. That
I would have the biggest bulge.
What did I call it? The junk slider? Because it needs to exist. It really does. Because, yeah, I mean, if women can have the bumps, guys can have the bumps, too. Come on now. And it says that since 14 requires a monthly fee to play, it can go on without needing a gacha system for super sexy outfits.
And I think that's a good point. I think that's a real good point.
But we still also, I mean, not a gacha system, but we have a cash shop where people can still buy stuff. But even still, the sexy outfits aren't what's in our cash shop. We have like outfits from other countries and outfits from previous seasonal events. So even still, people aren't throwing money at the game for the sexy outfits. They're doing it for like the cultural stuff. Yeah. Mm-hmm. FF14 doesn't have anything like that, so he believes it's a game that can be played with no worries.
No worries at all.
And it says, you can see your underwear by taking off your equipment, but after analyzing data, he was able to find that not many of the female players do so on purpose.
Wait, what?
I mean, so that says that nobody really, like the female players don't care or want to see their characters' underwear as much as the male players do.
You can see underwear by taking off equipment, but after analyzing the data, he was able to find that not many of the female players do so on purpose. And really, I'm gonna debunk this, because if you take off your armor, like your underwear you have on is actually kind of crummy looking. I mean,
yeah,
look
it's
at that.
ugly. The Rogan underwear is ugly.
Yeah, like look at me right now. Like that's not cool underwear. I have my golden leopard skin bikini.
Yeah, there's some that are so many better. But then again, in 1.0, they actually had a special gear slot for underwear, and that was actually the worst thing ever.
It was bad. I think,
but then you can still wear some of that stuff, like the hempen camise and the hempen bottoms. Like those look way much more like sexy underwear, and I actually wear those for a lot of my glamour sometimes because they're so much cuter. The actual regular underwear is so ugly. If you want female players to care about their underwear, make it cute, and then we'll do it on purpose. It's so ugly. I don't want to look at it.
I mean, does anyone? I feel like you guys are burying the lead here. That Yoshi-P being an incredible creeper right here. like honestly, read the statement in a creeper voice and see if it holds up. Like, you can see the underwear by taking off equipment, but after analyzing the data, we were able to find out that not many female players do so on purpose. Like, there's so many qualifying statements in just that one statement alone that make this very, very creepy.
Okay, look, Yoshi-P is very pure and innocent. He's not like your Hideo Kojima, who's just all kinds of awkward. Thank you very much.
Kinds of weird test tube babies and yeah.
It does get weird.
But okay. So where he says, okay, MMORPGs are enjoyed by people of various age and gender, so he feels that they need to do the opposite of catering it towards just a specific category of players. So he's trying to be inclusive of everyone, including the weird, creepy people who like to stare at underwear. He has to consider them because he is a good person.
Okay, and he obviously didn't give any consideration to male players who wanted to have bunny suits on.
But he is considering because he said it's coming.
Because we had to demand it for like 2 years.
Yeah, but to be fair, I have never seen... Actually, that's not true. I make conventions. I think I've maybe seen... Oh.
Skuro, where the fuck is my hole? Get to digging. # derail their conversation.
Why does it have a British accent?
I don't know. Why does it have a British accent? That's terrifying.
It's awesome.
See, Kooky fixed it, but I made it better.
No,
I
don't know how to.
A person, not a robot.
Are you shitting me? I don't know how to make text to speak sound British. I don't. I have to re-record all this dumb shit. Don't fuck around with it like that, you asshole.
If it doesn't have the British accent in the post, then the people will just have to tune in live to hear what it sounds like. That's
no. No.
I can make it Chinese simplified if you want.
No, absolutely not. Fucking not.
What about Croatian?
No.
No?
Actually, I think it's kind of cool. You can change it.
God damn it.
We should give it a... Is there one that's more of like... Cause that was a good British accent, but you know the British accent they always use in all the fantasy games.
If you change the settings again, I swear to God, I'll murder you.
We could have English, British, Emma, Brian, or Amy.
No, just English auto, I think, is the default setting, which was what we need.
Wow, you are so not fun, Aniero.
What the fuck?
Yeah,
how the fuck am I supposed to give the text to speak a British accent? What?
You go into Streamlabs and you just record it with a different sound device and just type it in and just record it and just put that in.
Yeah, I'm sure it won't be too much more work for you.
You know, you can all go to hell. Right? Why don't you try producing the show? You figure it out. Assholes.
Oh, that's so fun.
I don't know. I think Aniero's just a party pooper. It's because he's sick. When he calms down, he'll come to you next week. Anyway, that is the end of the RPG section of 14 being the MMORPG for beginners.
Do you want me to take the next part? The next part is...
I guess we don't have a choice.
Do it.
Are there any new games you'd like to make? And Yoshi-P says, Yoshi-P works both as a producer and a director, but he would like to quit being a producer as soon as possible.
What? Read the next one.
If anyone could take his position as a producer, he would quit in a heartbeat.
Oh, wow.
What? Well, thanks, Yoshi-P. I see how much we mean to you.
Okay, well, having two positions does not mean you get...
#Sav the Brits.
See, this chick can't speak. Sav the Brits. We need the other chick back.
No, stop it.
Don't
touch it.
Does not mean you get double the salary. That's kind of...
Having two positions... Oh, wait. I mean, maybe not double, but he at least gets increased salary, right?
It doesn't sound like it.
It sounds like they doubled his responsibility overnight and never increased his pay.
So is he saying that if there were two separate people as a producer and a director, collectively they would make more money than he is as both?
Probably. I mean, that's probably fair. I would imagine. I mean, dude.
Well, we all know Square Enix is stingy on the money.
But dude, everyone in media is putting up with that. If you have any kind of talent, media industries take advantage of that and put you in charge of as many things as you can possibly handle.
I would like a cup of tea and some crumpets, please, Godfrey. Oh, my accent does sound absolutely fabulous, doesn't it, Olivia? Where are the two dogs, Basil and Fennel? #free the camel toe Yoshi-P.
What?
See, now poor Thor Carson's joke doesn't even work.
Oh.
It would have worked in the British accent. I think we need to switch it. He's dominating.
No! Oh my God! Fucking stop! No!
I don't even have it open. I can't change it. Actually,
I could change
We are not taking bribes to just fucking.
We will change the donate. If you donate, we will change the accent to the accent of your place. For more money.
No, the fuck we won't.
That is a great
absolutely
donation
won't.
fundraising campaign.
No, we won't. We have no. That's not what's happening.
Donate $10 and we'll change to Croatian.
Oh my God. No. Children, stop playing with settings. Do I have to change the goddamn password? Because I will. I will pull this show over. God damn it!
We'll talk over all of it then if you change the password. We have to have it.
The stream demands it.
Yes, Daddy.
Uh,
Let's do it. Anyway, back to the interview.
Right. So one issue that there isn't anyone who would say is, hey, I'll be the producer so you can switch out, Yoshida. He also says that he has more motivation for 14 than anyone else.
Well, he should as a producer and director. If he didn't have the most motivation, who would?
That's like, I mean, I don't know. That's pretty brutal saying like, dude, I'm the one that's really, like, I'm the only one that really gives a shit about this. Guys, if it wasn't for me, this would be falling apart.
Gives a shit. He said he gives the most shits.
Dude, I'm not even that arrogant. Like, I'm not even like, dude, I'm telling you, if I left LBR, it would be over. Like, no, you guys would step in and continue it and the show would be awesome. Like, no, like.
It would be different, but it would still.
Exactly. Like, I'm not even, God damn it. And now it's gone. Thanks, guys. You
can do it. I didn't touch it.
You fucked with the settings.
Feels okay. I go for the MGS. I like that too. Good idea.
You fucked with the settings, and now look what happens.
Oh,
I didn't do it.
God,
I don't actually know where the Dropbox is to change those.
Can you stop now, please? Now that you fucked it up officially.
Fine.
God damn.
That was supposed to be English Australian by Russell.
Well, maybe that one just doesn't exist.
I guess it doesn't, but I don't know why they would be on there.
It's a past show. That's what he just hashtagged. But he just gave us money to put it in past show. You have to.
It's true. All right. Anyway, let's see. Forcing himself to work is what he considers to be a discourtesy to players. He believes that since he is the most motivated of all, he must work as a producer for now.
Okay. That's actually an interesting mindset. That's a little bit different. He thinks that because I care the most about the game, he would care the most about the game even if he wasn't the producer. And he firmly believes that if someone who is the producer was not the most passionate, the game would not be as good. So he is taking on the burden of the producer role so that we can have a better game.
I don't know. To me, it sounds like he's like, man, I fucking hate these people that I work with, but I love the fans, and that's why I do this shit. That's.
I think that you're speaking from your own heart, Aniero. That's what I hear.
Really?
You hate the people you work with, but because of the fans, you shoulder the burden of dealing with assholes who change the text-to-speech voice.
You think I'm projecting that on Yoshi-P?
Yes.
Kind of. Because you can empathize with his position.
Well, I mean...
yeah.
I'm sure he doesn't have people fucking with his text-to-speak when he...
You don't know what happens in the office. They might play practical jokes on each other. Actually, I am certain that Soken does.
It's not a practical joke. That's a mistake.
Wait, changing the text-to-speech is totally a practical joke.
That's a bad practical joke.
It's definitely not a mistake. It's definitely intended.
Yeah, it is a joke. And I guarantee you that Soken is probably that person in the office. I'm sure he does that. He'll change something on Yoshi's computer and then leave to go do whatever he does in the music room, and then all of a sudden Yoshi comes in and just like, Soken! I can see it.
Okay.
Right. So there are many games that switch out producers and directors for each new expansion pack, but Yoshi-P says that there is still much more he'd like to do with 14. And until he does everything he wants to do for 14, his motivation for it isn't going anywhere.
No,
but if somebody came in with more motivation, he would keep the motivation but give them his producer spot.
He says, of course, there are players that say, quote, Yoshida should just quit already. Laughs.
Who says that?
There's a lot of people. That's like a growing number of people who are like...
Is it just because they don't like what he's doing with the game?
Yeah, they think that Heavensward was a pretty colossal failure.
But if he has the most motivation and passion for this game, if he quit, we'd probably get a much more lackluster game.
I agree. I totally agree. Especially, I mean...
those people don't agree.
I don't...
Clearly.
I mean, I don't know what the truth of the situation is. There might be someone... I don't know.
He could just be tooting his own horn here.
Yeah, you think?
Which we know he likes to do.
You think? Just a little bit.
Personally speaking, Yoshida has plans for about 4 games that he'd like to make, but he'll work on those once he gets a little older. Probably the relaxing games he wants to produce.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I wonder what he would work on.
A relaxing Hello Kitty MMO.
There you go.
Maybe he'll make the first Barbie MMO.
Nika. He says that the thought of raising his successor has occurred to him, but since there isn't anyone for now, it is what it is.
I can't really tell, like, if he's passionate about the game or if he just wants to leave and piece the fuck out.
Right? Like, this is the first time in an interview where I've sort of felt like he's letting a little bit of that, like, I kind of would rather be doing something else right now, sort of leak out. You know what I mean?
But it still is his baby, so he is still passionate about it for that reason. And until I think he finds the perfect successor, at least we know he's not going anywhere. So.
That's good, I guess. All right, so he has a favorite character in the Final Fantasy series.
Let's see if the chat can guess it.
Any gets or besses? Any gets or besses?
Who do you think, Yoshi-P, in all of his glory, who would his favorite Final Fantasy character
I'm just saying that
in the entire series?
This has been linked a few times in the chat.
It's okay. Without looking, if you've ever not looked at it, just guess. Don't tell him that.
Nobody actually looks at it. The links that Cookie clicks on or makes in the thing.
I don't know that that's true.
No, people do click, but okay, here's some guesses. See, without people looking, someone guessed Butt, someone guessed Y'shtola, somebody guessed Cloud. Those are guesses, and they are all incorrect.
His favorite character in Final Fantasy is, of course,
drumroll,
Sephiroth.
Sephiroth or Sephiroth?
You guys think that this may be a sort of wink and nod? Because I mean, you know,
isn't he a samurai?
Sephiroth has a Masamune.
Yeah, that's and you know, we keep hearing about
samurai. Soft confirm.
No, well, I mean, we keep hearing about this, you know, this new Garlean, and how badass he's supposed to be. He's going to supposedly be doing something. I mean, you know, Sephiroth is probably I mean, he's remembered as one of the only villains that like really fucks with your party. Like, you know, when he kills Ares, when he kills Ares, it's like a big deal. That sort of cements him as like even more, like, that's like a bigger deal than an enemy. Like, it makes it personal. It makes Final Fantasy VII like a personal vendetta story at that point. And I don't know. I just have to wonder what kind of themes that he's going to end up incorporating, that, you know, knowing that that's his favorite character.
I think this is another soft confirm for Samurai, because I remember way back when, like, Yoshida said that he liked Mustadio in Final Fantasy Tactics, just like seemingly random in the interviews. Like, oh, by the way, I think Mustadios are really cool.
Oh, I remember that.
Everybody overlooked that, myself included.
No, but like, you were one of the only people that like pointed it out and was like, that might be an indication of what job we get. And everyone was like, I remember poo-pooing that.
Yeah, well, I poo-pooed it too, because, I mean, come on, a machinist, really? Come on.
Yeah.
It has, like, 2 job actions, and that's it.
That's fair. Anyway, just some really interesting statements from Yoshi-P coming from this Game Focus interview. Of course, again, you can find that over at siliconera.com. Link is in the chat room. We'll also have it at our website, limitbreakradio.com. So the other article that was just burning up social media this week, Reddit, Facebook, we saw this everywhere, was this blog post that was posted over at mmorpg.com. Let's see, who was it that posted this? This was Michael. It was a column by Michael O'Connell Davidson that was posted on December 9th. So just in the couple of days since it's been published, a lot of people have been commenting on it over at MMORPG.com. It's also got a thread over on Reddit, as well as the official forums. And so basically the sentiment that's expressed in this article is, hey, healers, you should be utilizing DPS. Doesn't matter what the situation is, that you should definitely be adding to your party's DPS. And how much of a contested issue this is inside of parties and a lot of pickup parties. Like, you'll run into healers that absolutely won't do DPS. Sometimes party doesn't even say anything. Other times, multiple people of the party, will get on you for it or kick you for it. I think I've seen one of everything, where you've had healers coming in doing DPS, letting people's health bars get particularly low, but because they're skilled healers, not letting anyone die. I've seen healers kicked for that reason as well. And a lot of this, a lot of the blog post is very anecdotal and along those same lines, saying that, this runs the gamut, but that the norm expectation of healers should be, given the tools that they are that the job is given to utilize, that the expectation should be that healers add to the DPS. It doesn't matter if you're doing endgame focus content or dungeons, that healers absolutely should be and should be expected to be doing DPS. And if they're not, then that is indicative of poor playing or bad playing. So this has gotten a lot of responses. But first I want to ask, I want to put it out to Juxta and Nika. Do you agree with this article?
Yes.
Okay, Nika, why do you agree with this?
Because
by the way, you're also an elitist for that opinion, but why do you agree with it? I don't even fucking
care. If this makes me an elitist, then by all means call me a fucking elitist, because you're a fucking elitist. This is a game, first of all, not even thinking endgame raids where DPS is super important. This is a game that's made for you to always be doing something. And I'm going to pull something from the article that if you are a melee DPS, there is never ever a second where you're not pushing a button.
Right.
As a healer, it should be the same way. So if you're healing and then all of a sudden nobody's hurt and you're just standing there, just cast a few fucking spells. Like, what are you doing otherwise? You're just bum fucking off, masturbating. What are you doing? I don't know, but you're clearly not playing the game that you're paying to play.
Quit
you're just
diddling your butthole and cast a spell.
And so
Jesus.
What they said, and I actually like this quote that who is it from who had their name, but they said, don't forget the ABC of casting. Always be casting. That is the caster ABC. You should always be casting. And just, if you're not casting, you're not playing. So if by all means, if people are getting hurt and all you're casting is heals, then by all means do nothing but heals. But I can't even tell you how many dungeons or crystal towers I've gotten through where I will be a healer, because I'll go in as healer just to practice. That's the perfect place to practice, like Crystal Tower. If you're scared to go into a raid in DPS, go into the easy stuff. And I'll watch the other healer. I will literally sit and stare at their bar and watch their character, and they are just standing there doing nothing. Like, then why are you here? I could kick you and it would make no difference in the raid. And if we can kick you out, it's the same thing as like what they say about characters in movies. If you can take a character out of a movie and the plot doesn't change, then why the fuck are they in the movie? If you can take a healer out of a dungeon and the amount of what happens in the dungeon, the deaths and heals doesn't change, why the fuck are you here? End of story.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. But at the same time, I do think that there are, I do see that, especially in easy content, where healers will come in and they're just like, ugh, all right, fine, I'll just keep people alive because it doesn't matter. And I get it. In a lot of those instances, it doesn't. If you're going in and doing, dungeons. And there are times where I purposely play with a limited capacity, where I'm not playing the full DPS that my job could do. If you ever see me on Machinist queuing for a dungeon, okay, just know, first of all, my DPS is going to be shit, and second of all, I'm probably playing on my Vita. Those are the only times that I fucking queue as specifically machinist. If I'm going to queue as a DPS while I'm sitting at my computer, I'll queue as Dragoon or something, not machinist. But I mean, and I understand that. Like if that's the case, or you know, if someone just wants to have like a fuck off run, or they're eating chicken nuggets for 10 minutes instead of doing DPS, and they can just keep the people, as long as you're keeping people alive in easier content, fine. But I do think that it should be part of the base expectation of healers to be contributing to the DPS in some sort of way. By the way, we want to hear from you on this. Call the show, Limit Break Radio on Skype, 810-515-8715, limitbreakradio.com/Discord. You can sound off on anything that we're talking about, but we want to hear from you. Do you expect healers to DPS in your parties? Where, you know, at what point does it become negligible? Like, at what point is it like, it doesn't really matter if you're doing DPS or not? You know, like there's certain dungeons or certain raids where I don't check people's performance. I'm just like, what? Like, I'm as tuned out from what I'm doing as I'm sure they are. And I think that it becomes kind of an unreasonable expectation in those cases. But then again, maybe, I don't know, maybe I'm just a cooler dude than most people. But
and I get that some people are having bad days, or they don't feel well, or they just want to do their roulette and get it over with. But it happens way more often than the occasional person who's having a bad day.
I totally agree. Juxta, how about you? What do you feel about healers doing DPS?
Look, it's pretty obvious. Healers, your role and your job is in the name. You heal. You're not supposed to be doing damage. You are just putting the party and literally everyone else at risk when you are doing DPS. So don't stop using cleric stance. You're not a DPS. You're putting forth really terrible DPS numbers too. So I don't know what you're trying to prove. You're just trying to get quick queues, so just stop trying to do DPS. You are not impressing anyone.
Okay, now
you're probably making everyone wipe.
Now I'm going to ask Juxta the person and not Juxta the character. Is that really how you feel, or are you just being a troll?
What? No, that's exactly what you should be doing.
When you play healer sometime, don't you? You have a healer.
Yeah, I have white mage.
And you don't ever DPS?
Do I? Well, I mean, I do DPS because I want to be.
But it's in your name. Your name is to be a healer. So why are you DPSing? It's in your name. You shouldn't be You shouldn't be doing anything but healing.
I'm basically queuing up as the third DPS. So.
But it's in your name. It says healer. When
I don't
your icon is green.
I know. I'm lying. I don't actually heal when I'm on healer. I just do that so I get quick queues. See, I'm the reason why SC needs to remove cleric stance, because I never heal as a healer. I never leave cleric stance.
So you DPS so much that nobody gets healed when they die.
Yeah, basically.
Oh, I see. Okay, well.
I'm taking the Dark Star approach.
That sounds a little bit right.
But then how can you sit here and tell healers that their job is to heal when you don't heal? Now you're a hypocrite.
Yeah, I'm a definite hypocrite because I queue up as a healer, but I never heal because healing is for women and pansies and pussies. Oh wait, I just said the same thing 3 times. I guess I'm.
Whoa! Ow! Oh damn it! Why can't we mute Juxta? God. This would be the perfect moment. God damn.
What? It's just.
You're a jerk.
That is.
I'm just calling it like it is now. You are a jerk.
No,
you're a troll
a bad
and a
person.
jerk.
Square Enix and Yoshi-P back me up. They do not take into consideration any healer DPS in their endgame calculations, okay?
That has nothing to do with healers being female.
No, well, oh my god. No, but
right, it's true.
But the fact that they don't, I think, is even more reason to encourage healers to DPS.
Yeah, so you can do stuff at lower level. That way, when everyone bitches about not being able to do things because they're not high enough level, they don't have enough gear. But if the healers DPS, you could do stuff.
I mean, but the thing is I mean,
works for everyone.
Unless you're really paying attention to other people's performance and not your own, either because I don't know, like some people can put themselves on autopilot, and it's pretty kind of amazing. But they can not pay attention and pay attention to what other people are doing and critique. I'm not like that. Like, I'm just like, I got to make sure that all the mobs are red on me. You know what I mean? Like, I'm doing other shit. I'm not paying attention to what the healer's doing unless I'm dying. You know, like, and that's true of 90% of the things that I do. And usually I'd have to rely on somebody else going, oh, dude, this guy sucks. You know what I mean? So
okay, well, see, also, but if you played a healer, then because, like, for me personally, when I actually do heal and I don't do DPS and I actually want to play healer.
Confirm. Juxta girl confirm?
Shut up, Nika.
You just said healers are girls. I don't know.
No, I said all women are healers. Not all healers are women. We have to have some men who know what they're doing to tell the women how to do it.
That's very reductive logic, Nika.
Yeah.
Just
so,
saying.
hey, I understand because you're a woman.
I am a woman, and I am not a healer.
Do you have a healer leveled?
I have everything leveled.
Then you are a healer.
There you go. Proven.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you would have had to level every class except a healer for that statement to be true.
Okay.
But anyway, when I do actually be a healer, because I do such a great job and I keep everyone topped off, I have lots of time to look and critique other people because I don't do damage because I'm a healer. So like in those like 10, 15, 20 seconds that I don't have to do, I just watch the black mage and them do their rotation and all that stuff because I'm not doing anything else. So
then you're a bad. Then you're a bad.
No, I'm not a bad.
I think there's no question that Juxta is a bad. We all know this.
Yeah.
Whether or not he admits it is irrelevant.
No, see, I take the leader role. So after everyone's all healed up and topped off, I make sure that everyone else is doing their job, and I critique their ability, and I make sure they're doing the maximum DPS and proper rotation.
I mean that they're remembering to go to the healer and that kind of stuff, right?
That's his red mage mentality from FF11 sticking around.
Yeah, I'm preparing myself for when Red Mage comes out.
Yeah, there you
go. You're going to be even more of an asshole when Red Mage comes out?
It's called being the best job in the game, Nika. When you are the top of the top, you can look down upon the plebs and spit upon them. I mean, lead them.
Let's go back to our phone lines and talk to Isabel Drake from Balmung, who's hanging on the line. What's up, Isabel? Thanks for calling Limit Break Radio.
Hey, what's up? I feel like I've got a bit of a unique position on this because I have two characters that I have an endgame. One is a Scholar main and one is a Dark Knight main. So I feel both ends of the spectrum.
Okay.
Whenever I run a Scholar, I'm on Cleric stance 98% of the time. I heal to pop whatever that AoE Lustrate is. And
yeah, that really big.
I love it. I love when I can get into EX and have it done in 17 minutes. But I also, just for funsies, I sometimes play Astro, and I have White Mage leveled for the title. I fucking hate White Mage. When I'm an Astro, I'm not as good at DPSing, so I don't really try to as much because I would rather us move a little bit slower through the dungeon than wipe and have to go all over because I fucked up when trying to DPS.
Right, but would you ever sit there and do absolutely nothing?
No. I would try to do something, but there's just comfort is what I'm talking about. Sometimes people are not able to stance comfortably. They just get nervous and anxious about it. And I felt that, so I will think to myself in my head, oh, this dude's an idiot just standing there doing nothing.
Well,
but I would rather...
But I mean, there's a lot of ways to practice that, including going into something that doesn't matter and practice DPSing first without Cleric stance. Just throw some dots out. Once you get a little more comfortable, throw in some stone or some whatever. Like just little by little ease into it, and then work in the stance.
Well, not just that, but I think that's an entirely different situation from someone who is just refusing obstinately to contribute to DPS. If you've got someone who's like, all right, I don't know this fight, I want to be able to react properly, like that's different, okay? And becoming comfortable with the fight and the way that the mechanics in the fight work is all part of being able to stance well. You know what I mean? You've got to be able to, sort of like predict when certain moves are coming and when it's important to be in which stance, when it's important to be healing, when the big heals have got to come out, when the tank buster comes out. Those types of things are things that you learn over time. And I think if someone called you out for being a shitty healer or something, and you go, like, if I was in a party and someone was like, I'm not, I'm not contributing to DPS because I'm not sure of the fight. That's totally justifiable to me. Totally justifiable.
We were talking about pickup groups earlier. So if you're pugging something and running in Duty Finder, you should expect them to know their job at the very least. That's it. You shouldn't expect them to go above and beyond because people are fucking idiots. If a healer can keep the party from dying, that is my base level expectation. I would love for them to do more, but you know what? I don't know these people. I have zero to no faith in people, so whatever.
But if it's the regular expectation of the entire community that healers should be learning to DPS or should know how to DPS, then you know, like that whole idea of like booting people for not contributing to DPS becomes a little bit more defensible. I think right now in the culture that we have, it's not very defensible. That's kind of an asshole move. But, you know, like in situations where you run up against this, it's always better to try to help or teach someone. You know, if you provide them with some kind of experience or something that they, you know, some kind of learning statement that they can walk away from the encounter with, that's way better than just booting them out of the party, because guess what? They're not going to learn the thing that they don't know how to do if you're not willing to fucking help them. That means that you're relying on the rest of the community to do it for you. And that's kind of shitty. That's like handing someone a piece of trash and going, "Here, throw this away for me." Like you're releasing shitty players back into the community and saying it's your job to train them, not mine. What kind of arrogant piece of shit are you to say, "Oh, well, this is not my problem"? I get that there are some people that like you just don't want to deal with after a while, and it gets irritating. I understand that. There are the unhelpables. I get it. There are people who, when you try to help them, are complete dicks back. And I think that completely warrants a booting. But if you're not even making the effort to help that person understand the thing that you're trying to explain, go fuck yourself. That's so arrogant. That's so arrogant. And I, you know, like that's a thing that's really hard for me to sympathize with. Anyway, thanks for the call, bud. Limit Break Radio on Skype, 810-515-8715, limitbreakradio.com/Discord if you want to call in. And I'd love to hear from more people about this. Like, do you expect, do you expect healers to jump in and contribute to DPS? And if they don't, what is your reaction? I want to hear from you. Let's read some of these comments, because some of the comments on the website, in the comment section, on Reddit, official forums, they some of them are totally insane. But I need to give my voice a little bit of a rest. So, Juxta, how about we start with you?
Okay.
And read this first comment from Atticus BC.
From Atticus BC, he says, "The sort of nonsense found in this article is one of the reasons I quit FFXIV. Prescriptive, inflexible yammerings about how so-and-so and such was, quote, doing it wrong, unquote. And they say they can't do that, quote, get good, unquote. Honestly, I'm surprised that MMORPG would publish this article. They've always struck me as a site that embraces the fun of games and understood that people's different ability levels and play differences. And don't tell me that little silly line of how that starts as accounts. It's the equivalent of saying, I don't want to offend, but... Get off your high horse and let people do what they want. That goes for people who kicked you for doing damage too. If it's going fine, who cares?"
Well, first of all, let me just say, I'm really glad that you quit FF14. Get fucked. Oh my God.
I hate people that say if it's going fine, who cares? It's going fine, but it could be better. It could be perfect. Fine is not acceptable.
And this is the thing that people fundamentally misunderstand about the get good thing, right? Is that it would absolutely apply to this. Like, push yourself to be better, right? If there is something that a party is telling you that you could be doing better, and it's not just one person being a jackhole, like, usually there's definitely a difference, right? Like, you know, use your bullshit detector. You're a big boy or girl, whichever, or person, both, whatever, or neither. Whatever you are.
You're a big person.
Yes.
An adult. You're an adult.
You're a goddamn adult.
Excuse me, I'm a
fucking act like it. Fucking act like it. You can improve your performance.
Yes.
You can improve your performance. You can handle some criticism, and you know what? Like, if they're right, you know that they're right. If they're wrong, like, I mean, like, dude, this is not that complicated to understand. Like, when we were talking about Get Good, it really was not applied to rating. It was applied to the simplest fundamental concepts of this game that people would refuse outright to learn, whether it be Steps of Faith, whether it be fucking Blizzard mages, whether it be, you know, all kinds of retarded shit that we run into on a daily basis, right? That's okay. What Get Good is. That's a leagues different from, oh, I want to keep hard content hard, and this is applied to rating, and rating is easy. None of that shit was ever stuff that we said, but Get Good would apply here. Because guess what? You're being fucking lazy. That's all you're doing. And if you can't accept that, like, here's the thing, right? Like, and I'm not being on a high horse, and I'm not putting it out here saying I don't want to offend. I want to offend you. You're a fucking idiot and a shitty player, and you're hiding behind laziness as a way to say, oh, well, I want to pay my $12, so I want to play the way I want to. Like, that's even something that the blog post addresses. You know, like, that seems to be such a common refrain in FF14 at this point. Oh, well, I pay my sub, so I get to play how I want to. It's dumb. It's a dumb justification for anything. And saying just let people play the way they want does not enforce a fun play environment. The thing that makes play environments fun is rules and working within those rules to figure out how to either maximize your performance or how to do something that logically you look at it and it shouldn't be able to be done. Those are the things that I find fun about rules. But a game is not a game without rules. It's just it's just Second Life. I don't know what you want. I don't know what else you want at that point.
And nobody likes Second Life.
No, everyone got tired of making their character have 8-foot-long penises after 2 weeks, and they went on and did other shit, like adults tend to do. So, I mean, seriously, just fucking grow up, man. Like, grow the fuck up. That's ridiculous. That's a ridiculous response to this problem. It's dumb.
Okay, my counter argument. It's going fine, and we're going to complete the dungeon in 50 minutes, so you don't have to, and no one will die. Perfect run, 100%. Perfect 5 out of 7.
Why do we let you talk? Why do we let you on this?
I don't know.
No rebuttal, because I'm right.
It might as well have just been 2 hosts on this show today.
Yeah.
Thanks.
No problem.
So, let's move on. To next person's comments on post. Carrick stick with a Q at the end. Carrick stick. I'm so disappointed too. I don't understand why people like the author want to force their gameplay style on others. If he wants to DPS and heal, no one is stopping him. If his raid group absolutely needs the healer DPS and do not want pure healers, then they should pick those players. But berating people as bad healer for not wanting to DPS, how arrogant. The game is catered not just to the hardcore raiders, but also to the casual average players. This means that there is a wide variety of skills levels involved. Not everyone can multitask like a pro, and they also have a right to play as healers.
Yeah, see? Not everyone is good players, so if they want to just sit there and cast their cure once every 20 seconds... then that's their $15 a month.
But who actively aspires to mediocrity? That's what I don't understand. Like, these people are arguing for continued mediocrity.
Yeah, like, I understand if you're not that good, but who wants to stagnate like that? Like, at least if you're not, like, if you want to be a healer, fine. But if you're healing and there's no one to heal because literally no one's taking any damage, just toss out a stone, toss out an arrow. Like, who is that hurting? All it's doing is making your run faster. And why wouldn't you want to do things faster?
I totally agree. And the thing is that it just seems insane for people to be openly arguing for the point of mediocrity. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, why?
Because
why
you're watching Netflix too.
Fine, then this is not the MMO for you. I get that, dude. Look, that's a thing that I used to love about FF11 was that you could play it and do other shit. You could. Realistically, you could. That was a game that you could walk away from for 30, 45, 60 seconds at a time, and it would not matter. You thought I was going in minutes. No.
Yeah.
No, not quite that bad.
I do remember a merit party you were with Kahlo where you did do that.
I did, yeah. To be fair, my life was falling apart around me, but you know what? We're not gonna even bother getting into that.
At least we had Mary pose.
Yeah. But the thing is that, like, why actively argue for I don't need to be better? Like, I understand not having the time. I understand not having the energy. But then this is not the game for you. It's not.
Exactly.
It's not. It's just not. And that's not criticizing or being harsh or whatever. It's just an observation that not everyone's play style can be supported by an MMO.
If I can scream and whine and stomp my foot loud enough that I can get the things I want, why not?
But not everyone can be catered to. At some point, it's got to give in one direction. You split yourself too much, and you end up making a product that's all over the fucking place. And then you end up feeling like, and I know that as a creative person who is involved with a product, like, you end up feeling beholden to that criticism. Just like, no, they have a vision, and like, let them fucking pursue that. Like, a lot of these whiners, I think, do a lot more harm than good, especially with shit like this that doesn't fucking matter. Like, if you think that this article applies to you, then all you need to do is just apply yourself a little bit and try harder. That's all anyone's asking of you. That's all. That's it. I mean, as a tank, dude, if I didn't want to try that hard, like, I'd be chasing mobs all over the fucking map. Like, why? Why would I want that? Why would you want that as a fucking player? You drag everyone down. It's insane that this is even an argument. All right. Before we move on, let's go back to our phone lines real quick. We're gonna talk to Ryuichi. What's going on, Ryuichi? How's it going, man?
Hey.
How you doing? Welcome to LBR.
Hey, what's up? What's up, guys? Yeah, I just want to get my opinions on the healer DPS issue.
Okay, go for it. You got the floor.
Yeah. Thanks. Yeah, so I'm actually arguing for both sides here. In terms of, when the healer should not be DPSing is when it pertains to learning an encounter. When you're learning an encounter, you should be focusing on not DPS, but you should be focused on healing, knowing the fight, so that way, when it comes time for mechanics or tank busters, a healer can adjust, can adapt and act accordingly.
Okay.
But then once you start learning the fight, you should know when you should be healing, and you should know when you should be DPSing. Excuse me. But it is, it also depends on job too, like especially scholars, because scholars is highly potential. They can output a lot of numbers compared to white mage or astro. But it's really annoying when you see that when you're in a farm party and you see that scholar doing no DPS. It's like, what are you doing, man? I mean, put in your butthole?
I mean, at some point though, like for some dungeons, it's almost hardly even worth it because trash packs are dying so quickly. Because because DPS are so good, and the tank knows the pulls.
Holy is an instant cast. There's
It's
no
true,
reason
yes.
not, and it stuns, which helps your tank not take damage. So technically, using Holy is also kind of like a healer rule because you're preventing damage from the tank.
Right. Well, let me clarify here. When I mean encounter, I don't particularly mean dungeons because, like, getting like dungeons, I'm like, yeah, whatever. Especially duty finder. Duty finder. My expectation of healer on DPSing is very low. If you do it, I'm like, oh fuck yeah, I know what
If a healer DPSs, I commend them every time.
I'm like, oh yeah, you're fucking awesome. You kept me alive. You supplemented part with some more damage. You're fucking awesome. But I'm talking about in terms of counts. I'm talking about EX primals, raids. I was in an A10S or A9S to A10S a couple weeks ago, and I had a Scott on the party that did no DPS. I'm like, what? It was a farm party. I was like, the fuck are you doing? You lazy shit.
But even learning an encounter, like I understand not DPSing as much, but if you've been doing raiding for a long time, you still kind of have a feel of when it's okay to swap and put down some dots and swap back. Like you should still not be doing 0 DPS on your very, very first run through. I think you could still get a little bit of DPS, even if it's not your maximum.
Well, and the fights are scripted enough to where there are ebbs and flows. There's definitely like at certain points, like, yeah, I'm gonna have a lot of damage to cover coming out here. But like there is a bit of a cooling off period where, yeah, you're not gonna have to heal, you're not gonna have to rebuff. You should be putting up some numbers. You should be doing something. You should be contributing to damage in some certain way. And I just, the excuses that people are dragging out for why they don't like this idea or think this idea is bad is all completely anecdotal. And it basically all chalks up to, man, I'm too lazy. And that is such a bad. If someone could, if there was anyone who was arguing the other side of this point cogently and had good had a good reason for why they weren't contributing to DPS, I absolutely would give that to them. I think I would give that.
Holy is an instant cast. I'm sorry for everyone in the chat who's calling me out.
Well, it's okay, Nika. I mean, we know that you don't have your white mage level to 60 yet, so it's
I don't
okay.
Play it. But it's still fast enough that if you're not doing it, you're dumb. Anyway, continue.
It is a very fast. I mean, it doesn't take much.
And if you swift cast this first one and then cast Holy twice after that, the stuff won't unstun, and you can keep it stun locked for a while. So, still justified in saying that healers should be doing it.
Oh yeah, it's a really great defensive cooldown that I use all the time when I'm only healing, because I use Holy Swift Cast, stuns a mob, and I just stay off of Cleric Stance because that's an evil move that prevents your healing. So just use non-Cleric Stance Holies to stun all the mobs. That's what I do.
Ryuichi, thanks for the call, man. We appreciate it. If you want to call Limit Break Radio on Skype, 810-515-8715. We've got 3 callers on hold and just about 10 minutes left in the show here. So let's keep going with some of these comments, and then we'll go back to our phone lines.
Okay, next one comes from Gandales. Funny that the author is showing a parser, which is third-party software, i.e. against the TOS.
This guy needs to immediately go play in traffic.
That doesn't have anything to do with the topic, though, does it?
No, he's just chastising the author for using a parser, which means that they're pretty much the most insufferable human alive.
Like, the way they said against the TOS makes it sound like if the article was about, like, not breaking TOS and then showed a parser, I could see why they would call them out. But this was literally about how to play a job, which has nothing to do with the parser.
Yeah, this person's just like one of those, like, if you ever use a third-party tool, then your opinion doesn't matter to me.
I see.
No,
it's a method of discrediting the author.
Yeah, he's discrediting the author, which is an efficient way of debunking the whole argument that the author is providing. Is because if the author isn't a good person or a human being, then you don't have to listen to anything they say.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
What's this next one from Averix is this is why DPS meters are cancer in an MMORPG gaming. Really?
I mean, I see. At least that's a little bit more relevant of a comment than the last one. At least this one is saying less people would know that healers weren't DPSing if you didn't have a parser to tell you.
I mean,
which is not wrong.
But that's such reductive logic, though. That doesn't solve or address the fucking problem that you're being a lazy twat by not wanting to cast magic. Well, that's not. I don't think that's that complicated. And all of these comments, like, really all they're doing is this is just the most ridiculous shit piling. Like, not even relevant at all to the point. I mean, at least the first two comments that we read, they were like they were shitty points, but they had points. They had some kind of counter argument. What the fuck what is that?
This is like
you use a parser.
Comments.
Yeah, you use a parser. DPS meters are cancer. Like, goddamn, dude. Just the dumbness of this shit is astounding.
Mood sore, and this is why I don't play Final Fantasy XIV anymore. Great comment, great contribution.
Good, like, fuck off then.
But, like, what does that mean? That the author's opinion is stupid, or that you don't like the people the author is talking about? Your comment could really go either way.
I'm just happy.
Contributed so much.
I'm just happy that this person doesn't play FF14 anymore. I'm very satisfied with this comment. I don't think it needs any more information because he said exactly what he wanted to. This is exactly why. Well, okay. Sure.
It's because DPSing and healing at the same time is really, really hard. And so that's why he's not playing anymore, because it's just too much for him. Too much for Captain Moodsore.
Good. I'm glad.
Pluto Sam says, this is one reason why I stopped raiding or really dungeoning.
Really?
When I do play this game.
You don't run dungeons?
He doesn't really dungeoning anymore. He doesn't really do it. I mean, he still does it kind of.
Sometimes, but he doesn't dungeon all the time.
What do you log on to do? Swallow penis? What is going on?
I play Lords of Verminion.
He said, I don't know. This is only one reason, too. There are other reasons why he stopped. But he says, I play a healer because I like the playstyle of healing. Having to do the DPS dance just adds anxiety to a role I normally love, and too many times I or another healer would get stuck in cleric stance during an intense moment. Stuck. Personally, I would like to see SE give players other things to do during downtime that don't require a stance dance and DPS, like buffing, for example.
Why?
At least they're acknowledging that you should still do something all the time. They're saying if there was something that healers could do outside of DPS so they would always be casting, that would be better. And I understand people who come from MMOs with healers as a mindset and only healing would say something like that. That kind of makes sense.
I was really hoping that this guy was going to, in a roundabout way, start working into like, well, I think that thematically it doesn't work with healers because healers need to only be doing healing. If they're doing damage, then that is thematically against what healers do. And those people just need to find a baseball bat to choke on.
Or in nicer terms, find a different MMO that has that. This MMO doesn't. Have a good day.
No, find the biggest, fleshiest horse dildo that you can sit on, tear your rectum, get an infection, and go die somewhere terribly where you're alone and probably cold in the snow. Like that's what those people really deserve. If you're I don't want to do damage because I'm a pacifist even right down to my digital person. And like no, Like, Nika, the fact that you have trouble separating fantasy and reality is hilarious. But those people who take it that one step further, that they can't violate their own ethics in a digital world, that fucking blows my mind.
You're never gonna be able to complete a video game if that's the case.
Yeah, exactly. Like, how do you?
Undertale, thank you very much.
What kind of fucking, like, how do you interact? Like, how do you function if you're that kind of person? How are you a walking, talking, functioning person in the world, much less a fan of video games? Like, I do not understand those people, and I really just, I wish that I could beat them Walking Dead style with a baseball bat. Like, they're just awful. They make me feel awful as a person. You're welcome.
Same. I like this comment from Seratin. Not all resources are in-game. Stance dancing puts a strain as a healer and can cause them to burn out faster. Yes, it will help you get through the current dungeon a little bit faster, but it's going to have an effect down the road. The obvious solution is to get rid of Cleric Stance and just have your attacks be based off of mind. But until then, keep an eye on your healer's sanity meter. Yes, DPS as a healer literally causes you to go insane in IRL.
I can understand being overwhelmed, but that's why you just practice. You start slow, you ask somebody who knows how to do it, and you don't jump right into hardcore raiding right away expecting that you're going to know how to do it, because you're not, obviously.
Nika, I'm sorry. If you do damage as a healer, you're certifiably insane right now.
Oh, God. I'm sorry. Oh, gosh. I don't know why you guys can be around me. I'm so insane every time I play Scholar. Apologize.
Actually,
guys.
We're not around you right now. You have schizophrenia, and we're just part of your mental issues right now.
Oh, God. Oh, man. I really am insane. Oh, my God.
We're mental projections. Yeah, you've been doing 92 episodes of a podcast that doesn't exist.
This is some real MGS shit you're pulling on me right now. Let's not.
And we don't want to get into the whole daddy Juxta issues you have right now either. So
nobody wants that.
Wait.
Just to be clear, nobody wants that.
That one took me a second. Okay, let's move on. DAS 1337.
Das
Liedman. Maybe you should change the title of this article to DPS is a part of your job as healer in FF14. If you were playing an RPG as a healer, that is your primary role. Situation dictates your role as well. Here's the bottom line, though. Whether you like it or not, if the group leader tells you to play a particular role in a certain way, you do it. You do it, or you suffer any consequence that may occur because you decided to do whatever you feel like doing. I actually like
God!
This
finally, comment. Someone with a little bit of like that's a fair.
I mean, it started out a little bit nitpicky. Like, well, you said you made it sound like all MMOs, not just FF14, because clearly this is an FF14 issue. But then the rest of it is like, okay, obviously, like that was the thing with 11. If someone was like, oh, your favorite job is samurai, 2 bumfuck bad, you're going as red mage, you win as fucking red mage, or guess what, you didn't get the loot. That's just how shit worked. Like, your party group needs you to do something, you do it. So if you're in a raid and 3 out of 4, like the other 3 people are saying, we need you to DPS, you just fucking do it. That's just how it works.
Except the plot twist is the group leader in the article wanted the healer to not DPS at all and only heal. So he's telling you have to only heal and never DPS.
I don't know if I would ever listen to a person in a dungeon told me never to DPS.
But he is the group leader, Nika. And you have to
in
do what
a
he
dungeon,
says.
there's no group leader technically.
There is a group leader. It's the person
really
with the little crown.
Yeah, but that's just random.
You will suffer the consequence that may occur.
That's just random, though. It's not actually like.
I mean, to be fair, if they wanted to kick somebody, they'd have to do it by group vote. So you would have to have the majority of the party with them.
But he's the leader.
Anyway, let's go back to our phone lines and talk to Yuki Miyoshi of Hyperion. What's up, Yuki?
Hey, guys. Long time no talk.
Thanks for calling Limit Break Radio. It's nice to hear from ya.
Yeah. So I want to talk about this topic real quick. My opinion on this is that the community expects healer DPS all the time, or a fair amount of it. And, I'm okay with that to an extent. I think the biggest thing is healers do have to prioritize making sure that the party stays alive. But they need to also contribute to getting through the content and playing and concentrating on the content they're in. Yes, you go into a dungeon. Do you want to laze around? A lot of times you may, if it's a simple party finder dungeon, not party finder, duty finder dungeon. But at the same time, you have 3 other people that you need to respect their time that they're playing this game. So you need to be consistently doing things. If you're not healing, DPS. If you don't feel comfortable with DPSing, try to learn how to DPS in there.
Yeah, I think as long as the skill is something that is known, you know what I mean? Like, if you're in a party and you go, hey, healer, why aren't you DPSing? And then they start DPSing, you know what I mean? Like, they don't have to learn it. They just know. They were just choosing to be lazy. And then, but the thing is like, I'm fine with that choice as long as someone is upfront about it. As long as, like, if you call them on it, they're not, like, super shitty. And they're, like, just, like, admit, like, yeah, I was being lazy. So what fucking what? Like, that's not a big deal. I'm lazy when I run shit too. That is fine. That's not a big deal. But the expectation is that you know how to do it, so that in the situations where it is absolutely needed for you to progress, whether you're in raiding or whether it's a new piece of content that people are struggling with, like Ozma was when it first came out, like, get your shit together. Like, as long as you can get your shit together and pull it together, that's the only point that people are making, is, like, know how to do this. Have that skill. Be lazy if you're going to be lazy, fine. I'm not going to give you shit for that. That's not a big deal. But as long as the skill is there, and you're not going, like, you plug in your ears and going, la, 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 I don't need to learn it, la, 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 it's not applied to me, la, 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 I have a healer icon, so I don't need to know any of this shit. That's the fucking attitude that needs to be crushed like a roach. That shit is, that is to the detriment of absolutely everyone. And that's the kind of shit that no one should put up with. No one should put up with that. And when you fucking experience that, call it out. Like, that shit is the stuff that needs to stop. That's my only point. If people want to get fucking all pissed off at the mean shit that I said, that's the mentality that I'm really talking about, working its way out of this community. Those are the players that we don't need. They're dead fucking weight because they just refuse. They refuse to learn critical shit that they need to know. Most people, if you call them on it and you're like, dude, you could be doing, why aren't you holding hate? Like, as a tank, that's like the big litmus test. If you're not holding hate, people are going to ask, what the fuck is up? And that should be the same expectation for healers. That's my only point.
No, and I agree with you on that. I feel like there should be a litmus test for every type of job. Granted, with DPS, unfortunately, the only way we really have to tell that is through a third-party tool currently. I mean, yes, you could look at threat meters and get some general consensus if the tank isn't, like, in a tank stance the entire time, running the threat meters to the point where they should have 99% of the threat regardless.
Right, yeah.
But I mean, ultimately, like, all healers should know how to DPS in some way, shape, or form. And scholars have the least excuse because they should be DPSing in 95% of content. And the reason I say 95 is because you give those exceptions for, like, those single healer farm parties, or when they're learning in endgame raiding, like Savage, they should, learn to balance between DPSing and healing and, try to learn the mechanics of fights. Those are the, like, few exceptions. They should be DPSing almost consistently. And that's because they have a pet that will do 95% of the healing for them. So,
yeah.
Like, that's the other thing that people need to understand is pick your job. Yeah, if you don't ever want to DPS as a healer, there's a problem. If you want to minimize the amount of DPSing you're doing as a healer, play Astrologian, play White Mage. I would say play Astrologian because there's other things you could be doing to benefit the party that isn't just DPSing or just healing, and that's with the cards. So, sure, find a way to keep yourself occupied, and yes, you should learn how to DPS and be able to do it when you need to.
Yeah, no, I totally agree, Yuki, and I think that's really all that article was really arguing for, was make sure that you have that skill set developed. That's really the important thing. Thanks for the call, Yuki. We appreciate it. We've got a couple more people to get through before we wrap up here. We've got Taser and Thor waiting on hold, so we'll get to them before we wrap it up. But, I mean, let's get through another couple of posts here before we wrap it up. But, I mean, like, do you guys agree with that? Where it's really more about having the skill set developed than necessarily using that skill set every single time that you are on the battlefield?
Yeah, I mean, if I'm not going to troll or whatever, yeah, obviously you need to have the skill set of being able to do damage. Like, obviously. Like, I mean, in this game, healers don't really do enough of anything. So if you either have two options. You can either sit there and watch Netflix, or you can make the dungeon go faster. And it's really up to you how you do it, but you need to know how to do it. Is what it basically amounts to.
Exactly, and that's the thing. Like, where if you're requested to do it and you don't know how, like, I think that's what makes you the shitbird instead of, you know, people who just make the choice. Like, they're like, yeah, hey, fucking, this is a really good episode of 24. Fine, that's fine. I'm not going to begrudge that. I'm not going to, like, you know what I mean? I'm never going to be that player who's going to be like, dude, whatever. You know, like, that's not the issue, especially because generally nobody has that attitude when they're running content that matters, when they're running content that is difficult. It's only when you're at the scrub tier shit that people pull that kind of stuff, and then it's like, who fucking cares? I get it. I kind of get both sides of it. What I don't get are the people who are like, nah, this isn't a thing that matters, and because I pay my sub, I can play how I want to, like that.
Yeah, you like the play style.
Yeah, I just fucking that's the thing that really I don't understand, and I think is just childish. It's stupid.
I like this comment from Warlicks. I've always hated it. That is forced down my throat, and that healer DPS is taken into account when SE creates raids. People play healers to heal and buff, and occasionally DPS, sure. But I prefer the tank going DPS mode that is going to me get DPS and is safer, and I don't have to stance. That's at max level. And as low as Scholar, I don't need to heal at all, but the Fairy is the main healer there. So I DPS as hard as I can.
Hard.
And that's one nuke that barely hits for anything over and over, but at least I'm pressing something. Dots on bosses, sure, but meh. That punctuation really makes it, I feel.
No.
Yeah, there's dots all over the place.
Mm-hmm. And commas.
Even gasps.
Jeez.
Mm.
That was a thing. Thanks for that.
Was something.
Thanks for
You're
that,
welcome.
Juxta. That was very dramatic.
To get that one out.
That was very dramatic.
I know. It was dramatic breathing.
Let's go back to our phone lines and talk to Taser. What's going on, Taser? How's it going?
Pretty good. Hey, I'm all for healers DPSing when and if they can, because there are times when you actually have to, because the DPS are not clearing the DPS checks, or you're in a fight where you know if it's going on longer, it's just not, it's going to be worse overall.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, there's definitely points where it feels more necessary. And if you're not stepping up and meeting that challenge, or, I mean, that's the other thing, is if you keep failing on something, if you keep wiping on something again and again, and, you know, it's because of slow DPS, fucking, what's the healer doing? You know what I mean? Like, that should also be another instance where you're going, okay, who's not doing what they should be doing, and healer DPS should be an expectation that's there. Totally.
And part of the problem currently is the novice hall. it only teaches healers to heal.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And again, Square Enix has had a kind of conflicted view of this where they've said that they don't factor in healer DPS to their fights, which I think that was the wrong thing to say, man. I think that was, especially seeing all of these fuckwits come out in protest of this article, that was absolutely the wrong sentiment to instill in the community, because look at the amount of entitled whining that's going on here. Like, I get to pay my $12. It's just so, it's so whiny. It's so annoying. Just reading these, the way that they're phrased is so irritating, because you can just hear the entitledness behind it. I pay my money. Why do I have to do anything that this other player wants me to do? Because that's what we need to get to the other side of this boss that we failed on 4 fucking times because you can't get your shit together. Like, that's totally reasonable. And if you continue to not get your shit together, you should be kicked. And you should have to deal with that. Like, whatever negative repercussions come with that. Oh, sorry, someone damaged your fragile fucking ego because they booted you from a party. Why don't you go cry about it, emo kid? Fucking slice vertically along the fucking wrist, because the other way is just a cry for help. Okay? This is bullshit. Don't let your emotions get so involved in a goddamn fucking video game. If you don't hear the dumb emotive quality behind these stupid comments, then dude, I don't know what world you're living in, but these kids are fucking coddled pieces of bullshit. This whole argument is bullshit. Thanks for the call, Taser. We appreciate it. If you want to call Limit Break Radio on Skype, 810-515-8715, limitbreakradio.com/Discord. We'll take one more call here before we wrap up. Again, thanks, Taser. We appreciate it. We always appreciate hearing from our fans. It's been fun to rant at you guys. I love ranting.
I love how we're like, this whole topic is bullshit, so it makes a perfect topic for LBR.
It does. It does, because, how often do we talk about bullshit? We talk about bullshit all the time, whether it's bullshit Reddit comments, bullshit YouTube comments, bullshit Guildwork posts, whatever it is. We talk about dumb shit all the time. Dumb, stupid people that exist in this community where, for some reason, because they pay $12, people want to keep them around. Why do people want to keep these other fucking people around? They don't get it. They don't get what an MMO is. They don't understand why online games are fun, and they just want shit handed to them. And it's boring. It's boring. It makes for a boring fucking game for the rest of us.
And it's bullshit.
It is bullshit. Let's go back to our phone lines one more time here. We've got hanging on the line. We should have Thor. Let's see if I've connected. Thor, we got you, bud.
Hello. Yeah, how's it going?
What's up, dude?
Not bad, thank you. Just wanted to call in about the DPS issue here, healers.
Yeah.
I just think that if you're a healer and you don't DPS, then you're just fucking shit. You're given DPS actions and spells to DPS, so fucking use them. You know what I mean? They aren't there for a laugh. And my time in the game is pretty fucking limited these days. And when I get on, I want to play with people who want to play the game, and I'll just play like half-assed. You know what I mean? And waste time.
It does. I mean, and that's the other thing is that, like, dude, if I'm failing 3 fucking times on the second boss of Sastasha hard, like, why? Why do I want to keep playing? Like, that fucking that doesn't make me mad enough to kill you. That just makes me want to kill myself. Like, that's just it's fucking terrible. Why keep putting up with that shit? It's dumb, and it's a bad mentality to reinforce in your player base.
Yeah, it's just a waste of fucking time, man. You know what I mean? You want to play with guys who want to play with you, and you want to get stuff done, and not waste your time, carrying people. You know what I mean? And I just think that, like, healing during your roulettes is really fucking easy. Like, you just DPS the whole time, throw out the odd regen, throw out the odd fucking raise. If you get in trouble, use benediction. You know what I mean? It's fucking easy. You just gotta do it.
Yeah, dude, it is. That's the other thing, is that this is not a really difficult thing that anyone is asking. It's not like healer DPS is some fucking great skill that only the top 5% of this game learns. No, like, most healers should have this in their toolbox of skills, man. Right? Like, this is, you guys play healers. This is some shit that you should just know. Right?
Yeah. No.
Thanks.
Yes.
Step in anytime, Nika.
What? I just heard yelling and I kind of checked out for half a second there.
Wow. Now I understand why there are big tracks of silence from you when we do the show.
Yelling overwhelms me. So if I'm not yelling back, I'm probably like hiding in a corner.
My
Wait, okay, hold on. So if we want you to go away, Nico, we just have to yell at you?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll keep that in mind.
Make note of that. What my question was that this should be a skill that you develop between 1 and 60, right? Like, this is a skill that every healer should have in their toolkit, in their toolbox. You know, like, what it should be something that every healer knows. It's not hard.
But let's be real though. Like, I leveled White Mage solely on fates, and the entire time you're do fates, you're just DPS.
What a bunch of fucking pussies. These kids, lol. Loads of baby ridge.
Thank you, Ryuichi.
Loads of baby ridge.
Baby ridge.
But it's really hard if you get to 60 without having done purely dungeons or done any kind of content where you were in a group situation, because you stand dancing.
Then that's not your main. That's not your main.
True.
Right?
However,
like
it is not hard to practice. Like, I mean, I remember thinking, oh my gosh, dance dancing's so scary. Like, how am I ever going to learn how to do this? I never once said, I'm never going to learn this. This is dumb. I said, how am I going to learn how to do this? Right. And that's when I started doing Crystal Towers and all those World of Darkness and stuff. And I just would start practicing, because that's the easiest thing, that if you fuck up, there's another healer there to cover you, and it's casual content. You're fine.
That's a totally fair attitude. And also, I just want to say that anyone who comes out, like, anyone who's like, hey, I'm trying to learn, and says that in the party, dude, you're not gonna get any flack from me.
Oh,
not a single iota. Like, cool, I get it. Everyone learns. It's fine. But the thing is that, like, I mean, I know that there is nothing in the system that really teaches how to do that. But again, if it's an expectation of the community, then that is something that you would pick up between 1 and 60. And especially for people whose main job it is to be, you know, like, they started as healer, they identify as a healer, they want to go through the entire game as a healer. This should be part of your tool set. This should be a part of your skill set that you rely on. And, you know, just sort of like how tanks doing damage was sort of an unspoken part of their responsibility for the longest time. And it still kind of is. Like, tank damage is not completely irrelevant. So, you know, if tanks got to do it, if that's part of the responsibility of tanks, then you know what? Guess what? It's also part of the responsibility of healers too.
There are times when you're not tanking, or even when you are, but there are times when you're not tanking that you should be doing DPS. Like, actually,
absolutely.
My biggest hate of Paladin pre-Heavensward was that my only DPS moves were my biggest enmity gains. And I hated that, because even in Sword Oath, I was getting more enmity than I should be getting as DPS. But even still, if tanks are supposed to DPS when they're not tanking, healers should be DPSing when they're not healing.
Totally agree.
I mean, it makes sense. I don't know why that doesn't make sense to people. Like, but I mean, I'm sure there are people out there, though, also that are also tank purists who believe that tank is my name, tank is my game, and they don't DPS. I'm sure there are plenty of people like that.
Yeah. No, I guarantee that there are.
The tank's job is to stay alive, so that's why I meld all my materia as parry.
I don't even have a response for that.
Yeah, what?
Because it's logical. As a tank, my job is to stay alive. So in order to fulfill that role, I have to meld materia into all of my gear.
Good luck with that.
Why do you say things? Why do you ever say why? Why?
Because it's logical. My logic is infallible, and the end.
I'm like complete derail of conversation.
Infallible.
Combo over. Juxta has killed it with one sentence or with one word. Harry. Boo. Conversation.
Infedorable. Logic.
Oh my God.
You're the worst. You're the worst. By the way, shout out to Mr. Happy. Thank you very much for the host, bud. We appreciate it. And thank you for having us on State of the Realm last Tuesday. That was awesome. If you want to check that out, you can check that out at Mr. Happy's YouTube channel. Unfortunately, I mean, like this is how our hosts always go. We always throw out hosts right when people are wrapping up their show as well. And in fact, we're like 18 minutes over where we should have been. But
yeah, what the hell? I didn't even realize it was already 4:20. What the heck?
Yeah, I know, right?
Smoke weed every day.
Exactly. I've got weed that I got to go smoke, guys. So we've got to wrap up the show, or I've got to hit this bong right now. It's one of the two.
Wait, what? We have to smoke right now?
Anyway. Thanks guys for tuning in today. It's been an interesting discussion. Thank you to all our callers. Thor, thank you for the call, man. Appreciate it. Appreciated hearing from you. Appreciated hearing from all of you. You guys have somewhat saved my voice today, even though we ran the entire 3 hours still.
Did you expect anything less?
I kind of did.
We didn't even get through all of the comments that we had set aside to read on the air.
No, and I had a little mini backup topic that in case we needed it, but we totally did not need it at all. So
I'm not going to ask what that was.
Well, good, because we're not going to get into it, so we can't bring it up.
It's the fan fiction.
No, it wasn't, but we do have 4 different fan fictions.
We have 4 fan fictions.
Yeah.
Guys, stop. Just please stop.
They
were funny. They were funny. Now they're just getting awkward.
They're not awkward, and they're still funny.
See, this is they're hilarious. It's just Nika is starting to appear more and more frequently in them, and that's what makes her uncomfortable. It was all fun and games. It was all fun and games. Fun, all laughs and hilarity when it was Aniero and Juxta coming all over Ascalia's desk. But now that it's Nika who is the focus of attention, now suddenly things are really uncomfortable. I see how it is.
What bothers me more is what's going through the minds of the LB Army members who are writing these things as they're writing them. That is what scares me more than the actual fanfiction itself.
Okay, Nika, here's the topic. It's Nika Cross Skrull fanfiction from Chihiro Kukichi.
I know. She even tagged me earlier and was like, I'm writing
this. Does it make you upset or worried or anything at all? No, and just suddenly now.
It does, not because it's Skrull, but because
we're too good for fanfiction. Suddenly now. Yeah, we heard the song game from Ascalia and Kahlo before, so no, we're gonna run this fanfiction shit into the fucking ground.
Oh God.
Because
and then once it's run into the ground, we can stomp on it and bury it. We can stomp on it and bury it after that.
Probably not, considering how the fanfiction is just exploding. It's multiplying.
It really is. This went from a one-off bet that was like, the show's kind of light. What else can we do? Well, we've got this. Yeah, all right, let's do that. To now, it's like we've got to like make time for this shit. We definitely can't read it today. Like the thing is, so first of all, the fanfic readings go the best when everyone is here. Literally, no one is in the studio. It's not. I mean, I don't know if you guys have noticed this show has been a little bit light on laughs. It's hard to like kind of communicate how to set up a joke over Skype. It's weird. Like, it definitely. This is the first time that we've done a Skype show. Maybe
in a year.
No way. An actual like show. Like, I think that this is the first time that maybe ever in the 14 run.
Well, with you, I mean, me, Nika, Kahlo did a show over Skype when you were in.
Well, yeah, that's because that's a little bit different.
Yeah, we've done 2 of those.
Yeah, that's a little bit different.
But that's different than Aniero being there all by his lonesome in studio with all of us on Skype.
Exactly.
His pants off.
Just jacking it the whole time.
I don't feel like that's happened since like 11 days.
You're right. This is the first time that
the end of our 11 days.
Even with such inclement weather that we had last year, we seem to make it every single weekend. There wasn't a weekend where we had to like call off like we did here. But I mean, in all fairness, though, I've seen reports in the last 4 days of a 50-car pileup, a 40-car pileup, and a 30-car pileup. I mean, it's just like it's
nuts.
It's bizarre how terribly people are driving, and it's happening on huge highways. And I really did feel like if I asked the crew to come out here this weekend, that it would be potentially dangerous. We didn't know when the snow was stopping either, which I don't even know if it has. I haven't looked outside.
It's not gonna stop until like Monday.
Fuck.
So
and I got to get to work in the morning. It's gonna be tough.
Make sure you shovel your apartment complex parking lot.
Yeah, that's not my responsibility, thankfully.
Maybe it should be.
Definitely shouldn't be. Anyway, again, thank you to everyone who called in today. We appreciate it. We always love hearing from you guys. Thank you to Happy for the host. That was quite kind. I also want to thank Kookie. I didn't get a chance to thank her a couple of weekends ago when she had set up our interview with Austin Creed, a.k.a. Xavier Woods of the New Day. She had set that up, and it was just an awesome production moment. She's a great producer, and I realized I did not thank her after that interview aired, and just wanted to, give a second to say thanks. So, that's going to be it for Limit Break Radio this week. Thanks, guys, for tuning in for a little less formal of a Limit Break Radio episode. Again, I appreciate your guys' understanding with us being on Skype and, with the weather stuff. Hopefully we'll have a full crew next week. We'll have a full studio crew, and we'll be able to read some of these fan fictions. Also, we'll have some more news about the postcards from Eorzea. I'm not sure what the latest on that is, but
Kahlo is going to he's going to use the website tomorrow when he is off work.
Okay, so those you should expect to be seeing those fairly soon.
Next couple weeks. Yep.
We do have the art, but the thing is we want to show off the art after it's already been sent out. Sort of like, this is what you missed out on, right?
Yeah.
Like, I think that's kind of a cooler way to do it. Like, it's a little shittier because people will see something, they'll be like, fuck, I wish I had that. But then it's like, dude, you should have subbed. You should have been the $20 patron level, and then you would have gotten it. So it's sort of like, you miss out on it. You missed out on it. It's exclusive. There's a new one every single month. We can say that the very first one features our very own Escalia, who is not here because he is recovering from the amazing Seeds of Acceptance that he did, raising $1,345.14 for affirmations. That was
he beat my extra life total.
Pretty awesome. Pretty awesome. What was your extra life total?
It was 1,100 something.
Just narrowly.
Yeah.
So
he probably donated to beat it just to make sure he got over it.
No.
He has a thing about like beating the most recent fundraising total. So yeah, I think maybe there's something to that. Because that was his big thing. That was his big goal for the last Seeds of Acceptance, was to outdo Kahlo on his effort, and he did. Yeah. Every time he has outdone us every single time. So congratulations.
If only he could fundraise like that for LBR.
Right. Anyway, congratulations to Escalia on the amazing job that he did for Seeds of Acceptance. Again, $1,345.14. All right, guys, that's going to be it here for Limit Break Radio. If you enjoyed the podcast, hit that follow button. Join us every Sunday. We're live here starting at 1 p.m. for 3 hours of talk about FF14. We allow you to call in. Join us live each and every single Sunday starting at 1 here at twitch.tv/Limit Break Radio. Thank you so much to my crew, Skuro somewhere out there, Kookie, who's been helping me out with the phones and coordinating with me, as well as my remote crew today, Juxtaposition and Nika Kyanian. I'm Aniero. Keep listening. Limit Break Radio is a production of LimitBreakRadio.com and Bender Media Productions. This episode was produced by Kookie Persona, Aniero Grigori, and Juxtaposition. Final Fantasy XIV and Eorzea are trademarks of Square Enix. Funding for Limit Break Radio is provided by Miri Kennett, Captain Failboat, Zurian Urexin, Azura Giacho, Bianca Forwind, Kalina Ashsaver, Thor Carson, My Waifu, Satori Komeji, Darbykins, Sakura-chan, Dark Flux, No Packet, Share a Heart Slot, and fellow Limit Break Radio listeners. To support Limit Break Radio, visit patreon.com/Limit Break Radio. Opening music in this episode from Daniel Lambie. Listen to Man with the Machine Gun and other great tracks at facebook.com/Daniel Lambie Metal Gamer. Closing music in this episode provided by Husky by the Geek. Listen to this and other great Final Fantasy XIV and video game rock covers and original music at facebook.com/Husky by the Geek. In-game graphics for Limit Break Radio's Twitch stream are provided by Diamond Multimedia. Check out their line of AMD graphics card and other hardware at diamondmm.com. Limit Break Radio and its hosts are solely responsible for its content.